Oh, this. Yeah, there you go. Jesus Christ. We're going to have some. I'm going to look at the bar. We're going to have some editing to do on this episode. All right. Episode started. That's our intro.
I think so. Welcome to the BallsTalkSports NFL podcast. And Victor, the 2025 NFL Draft has come and gone. But did we watch hours upon hours of tape, forsaking our academics, forsaking our friends, forsaking our loved ones, just to stop talking about the draft once it's over?
No.
Fuck no.
No.
It's draft grade season, baby.
Exactly. We didn't watch all that tape come away with all of this stuff just to, do nothing about it. So that's what you were hearing in the beginning, because I'm actually going to keep that in. This is our bells. I went to Hobby Lobby. Bought some bells. $3 a pop. What up? All right. So that's anytime we get, like, the NFL. We obviously like some players more than consensus media did. NFL likes them the same level as us. We ring the bell. Now, if some NFL hates the players that we love, our bells
get it really close to the mic.
Our bells do really weird things, which you might have heard in the beginning. So it does that. It like scrapes around the edges. That's the anti-ring the bell. There will be quite a few of those. Probably more than the ring the bells, honestly. So, ring the bell. Anti-ring the bell.
We're going to critique some picks today. We're going to praise some picks today. We're going to demean and insult some picks today. Victor, are you ready to get kinky?
Let's get kinky. Draft grade season is upon us. What are we doing today?
All right, so we're starting off with the NFL East, the NFC East,
right.
the AFC East. And the team I want to kick it off with, a little bit of a warm-up because they only have 5 picks. That's the Washington Commanders, who in the first round took Josh Connerly out of Oregon, second round Trey Amos from Ole Miss, in the fourth, Jalen Lane, wide receiver from Virginia Tech, then Cade Medrano, sort of the hybrid star type of defender from UCLA, and finally, Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt, running back from Arizona in the 7th round. So I think we start the conversation with Josh Connerly. What do you make of this one?
Well, I gave this pick a C-. I mean, I get it, right? Like, there will be quite a few picks like this where it's like, yeah, I get it. I get the idea behind the pick. He's a good scheme fit, but it was probably just too early to pick him. I don't like Connerly as a first-round pick. He's more of a, he will probably be a solid starter for you, but that's a emphasis on probably because, man, we don't know if he will be able to do it because he's just a work in progress as far as technique-wise goes. But it's a weird work in progress. He's given enough that you're like, yeah, I believe that you'll eventually become something, but I don't know how good you're ever going to be. Connerly's a weird player, and I don't think he should have gone in the first round, but I do get why they did it.
I think that the scheme fit matters for the Commanders because he is a player who I think is just straight up poor in a phone booth. You get him on the move because the reason he was in first-round conversations in the first place, besides the fact that this was a really rough class for starting caliber offensive tackles, is because he's probably the best athlete not named Armand Membu on the market. But like you said, the hands, major work in progress. He needs to be coached up a lot, and he is young. He's been battle-tested at Oregon. Like I mentioned before, not an exceptional offensive tackle class, so if you want that position, you're going to have to take it early. But is that really the Commanders' best need either? Like, one of my core team-building philosophies is when you have the QB on the rookie contract, the moment you realize he is good, you win now. Because can you win a Super Bowl with a quarterback on like a Supermax deal? Yeah, it's possible, but the rookie contract is a cheat code. I loved what the Commanders did last year as far as really keeping the team together and putting themselves in position to make a deep run. I didn't think that they followed it up in the best way with this pick.
Yeah, and they already made it to the conference championship. This is a team that can win now and theoretically can win a Super Bowl with Jaden Daniels. And the roster they currently have, you're not always going to be Philadelphia is not always going to be that good. You're not always going to be able to pull off the miracle run that you did, but if you create a better team, that makes it a lot easier to pull off that miracle run. It doesn't feel like this makes this team all the much better, but I really do like, the reason I didn't give this pick a D or anything is because I do like Connerly in this system. This is a system with Kingsbury that loves to move the center. They love to move the tackles. When most zone blocking systems pull the centers and tackles, a lot of those, they really just keep the tackles and center stagnant. Well, sometimes in gap you will pull the guards, and that makes, for players like Connerly, who aren't the strongest guys, more finesse-oriented, They've got a really good kick slide, really quick, really explosive off the line, but they're not the strongest. They don't have the best anchor. That makes them kind of weak in those gap systems. But when you're pulling the tackle, it makes it a lot easier to just get that athleticism on the move and working to get, like, we talk about speed to power with edge rushers a lot. Sometimes it matters with offensive linemen.
Does.
I mean, there are guys that aren't very strong just in a phone booth like you were talking about, but when you get them on the move, they build up that speed. I mean, force is just mass times acceleration. Well, Connerly's got the mass, and when you get him the acceleration, that means that he's going to give you more force on the hit. So I do like him in Kingsbury's system, and I think he'll be solid. And I do think they needed a tackle.
Ghosts in this house.
Yeah, the ghosts are here. They heard about the draft grades. They wanted to get in on it. I do think they needed a tackle. I just didn't know if Connerly at 29 was the best place to get it, but it does seem like he would have gone sometime in the next 5 to 10 picks, so you wouldn't have gotten him at their next pick, which was 61. So
I think we agree on this one. I would give it more of a C+, but it's an okay pick.
Yeah.
It's not a D to me.
It's fine, but yeah, it's definitely one that you would have. There were a lot more players on the board that would have gotten better grades.
All right, so I think like kind of a subway to structure this is we talk in depth about the day 1 and 2 picks, and then just kind of shout out any guys down the board that appeal to us. So the second player fitting that billing is cornerback Trey Amos out of Ole Miss. They take him with the 30. I got to do some math in my head. You know how like draft picks are written as like 2.61?
Yeah.
That always annoys me because I want to say
29.
like I want to say like the 29th pick. The 29th pick of the second round, and I can't do that because we don't know how to interpret numbers on the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast.
We didn't come here to play school.
In the late second round, they took Trey Amos. I think that's fantastic value.
We're going to ring the bell on that one.
Who's ringing the bell?
I'm ringing the bell.
For him falling?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I like this pick quite a bit, but if this was 29 in the first round, like a lot of people were saying Amos was going to go, I wouldn't have liked it. But ring the bell. He didn't go in the top 40 or 50, which I didn't think he should. But 61's a good spot for Amos.
You got to admit that this is fantastic value, right? I mean, they're going to plug him into a secondary that was rough last year. They avoided man coverage like the plague. Now they're going to avoid man coverage because they have a good zone corner.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is a team that loves to play off zone more than anybody in the league. They drafted Emmanuel Forbes for a reason. The king of I cannot play man coverage. Well, he could play man coverage. The king of I cannot play press coverage. They love off coverage, especially off zone, and Amos is an off zone corner in his bones. He loves it, and he is good at it. He is good at it. Trey Amos, he came in as my 4th or 5th ranked corner.
This was a bad cornerback class.
It was at the top. Well, overall, this was just not my favorite.
There were like no slot guys available in this year's class.
Yeah, no, he was my 5th ranked corner, a 2 through 3 on him. So this is about where I liked him. Pure zone guy. I mean, but he's still got quite a bit to work on with zone, right? So, I don't know. He can play press man, I think, but you want him in zone because that's just where he seemed most comfortable. That's where he had the most reps at Ole Miss. And that is where you really saw the playmaking instincts and the ball skills being utilized. In man, it just felt like he was going through the motions, not really sticking to guys all that well. Zone, there were some bad misses. He let guys get behind him more than almost anybody in this class. Man, he's not a guy that I probably want to be playing in cover 2 often because he just lets the whole shot through it almost every time. But there were the flashes of, man, that is elite playmaking instincts. Get my hand on the ball and bring it in. So at 61, that's where I'm starting to willing to take a chance on a guy that showed those flashes, showed those instincts in a good system. This is a nice pick. I give it a B+.
Between him, Marshawn Lattimore, and Mike Sanderstill after another year of development, it feels like that position group is no longer something that caps their upside. It's not going to be a strength, I don't think. But I think one of the reasons it was so shocking that the Commanders made it as far as they did last year is just because of how awful their cornerback room was. Not the case heading into the 2025 season.
And you know what? I watched my first bit of NFL tape the other day after the draft. I haven't watched NFL tape in a couple months, honestly. It's been grinding the college tape. But I saw somebody say, I need you to go back and I need you to watch Marshawn Lattimore's tape in the last 5 games of the season. I was like, okay, I'm in the mood for a laugh. And then I watched it and I was like, he did not play that bad. I know all of the analytics, well, some of the analytics say he played very well. And Some of them say he played pretty bad. The widely popularized point was he was playing very terrible. And he played really bad because I watched his first game back after injury. It was terrible. First couple of games were. But then playoffs, he didn't play much. But when he did, it was good. It wasn't Saints Lattimore, but it was enough. And I'm like, okay, post-injury, if you get fully healthy, I think he can still be a starting corner. So I like that. Lattimore, Amos, and Sainer still. It's a high, it's a high variance corner room.
It is a high variance corner room.
But this feels like a high variance team overall, so it kind of works. So if they're going, it seems like this entire defense is going to be going. And I like some of the investments. Well, I don't like. They made investments on the defensive line. I don't necessarily like them, but they made investments on the defensive line. I like this pick a lot more than the first one. It really feels like they knew what they were doing and trying to build this defense back, how Dan Quinn likes to play with a defense-first team. But when you have a defense-first team and then Jaden Daniels on the other side, that is a Super Bowl team right there.
That's an A pick to me. Now that we're on to day 3, because, again, the Commanders had 5 picks in this year's draft, I want to jump to the 7th round and talk about them nabbing Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt at number 245. So for anybody who doesn't know the story with Krosky-Merritt, he played at a really low level of competition. Do you know his prior school offhand?
I don't.
Yeah. Was it?
He wasn't on my board at first. I had him in the last second.
I think it was JUCO. I think he was playing for a JUCO school, and he was dominant there for several seasons, and then he wanted an extra year of eligibility, and at first the NCAA was fine with that. They let him transfer to Arizona, and then they looked back and said, nah, you played too many games as a freshman, and he was like, no, I didn't. I got hurt, and they assigned my jersey to another guy because I was done for the year. And the NCAA says, nah, that guy who plays an entirely different position, that was you. That was you out there. No eligibility for you. You're done, buddy, which is why he did not play at all for Arizona in 2024. However, his 2023 tape, some of the most explosive in this class, don't get me wrong, there are people who are higher on him than I am. There's a lot to clean up. He is a very bouncy runner, but in terms of just the electricity he brings, he is easily comparable to, an R.J. Harvey, like the Broncos drafted, for example. And R.J. Harvey went in the 3rd round. Krosky-Merritt went in the 7th. You pair him as a change of pace back with Brian Robinson, while Austin Eckler can still play that 3rd down receiving role. This has a chance to really send him to the stars here.
Yeah, no, I loved this pick. I gave it an A just because, man, this is a deep running back class, and it feels like everybody was overlooking Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt. And I didn't watch him, but obviously I've heard great things. I know you loved him, and I saw, down in the 7th round, if you saw highlights, that's enough.
That's enough.
Right? That's enough. We can't watch everybody that's going to get drafted, but I did. He's a very the highs are absolutely there in his tape. I don't know about the lows, but the highs are there. I like taking a shot on him. And this is a guy that could easily outperform his draft stock just because, man, if he had played at Arizona, then who knows? He could be going in the 3rd round. That he's that day 2 kind of tools. You know what I mean? So, yeah, this is a great pick. And then I didn't get to Kind Medrano. I don't know if you did.
I saw a little bit of him. He was sort of like that hybrid overhang defender, really athletic, run and chase kind of player. Everything else, not so much.
Yeah.
There's a reason that a guy with really good physical tools and just a hard hat mindset who's willing to go out there and hit was available at this spot in the 6th round. You're banking on a lot of development from an older player.
Yeah. So what did you?
Did I give that a grade?
Yeah.
So I didn't grade the picks individually, but Medrano in the 6th, that's a B-. It's fine.
Yeah. And then round out the Commanders class, I took Jalen Lane in the 4th round. Now, I did like Jalen Lane quite a bit just because he's a speed guy who can run deep and make plays after the catch. He's basically non-existent at the 2nd level, but he can be a quality 3rd and 1st level kind of guy, which, I think he could be a wide receiver 3 for a team. I think the 4th round's a little high, but, gadget kind of role. He's not Deebo Samuel, obviously, very different builds, but he could potentially play a Deebo Samuel kind of role, how the Commanders are going to use him, not how the Niners used him.
A little bit of a Lamedy Zaccheaus, but not bad.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. He's not that big. He's not physical. He's not really going to win at the catch point ever. not the best route runner. He's also just like not the best athlete either, other than his speed. Like he's kind of slow to get off the line. So yeah, I had a 5 through 6 on him, but so this is a C pick just because they overpicked him. But I do like the player, and I wanted to give him a shout out.
For the record, there was not a ton of speed in this class that doesn't have legal issues. So if you want the track guy, which we're gonna get to just a pure track guy who went really high in a moment, I don't think this is nearly as egregious as the Arian Smith pick, which we'll get to. But you got to lock up your deep threat early, is what I'm getting at. And this was mid to late 4th round. I think this is okay. This is another B- sort of pick. Yeah. Those are the Commanders' 5. What grade did you give them?
I just, this was the only class that I apparently did not grade out. Sometimes I just forgot.
No grade.
No grade. They don't.
That's how we start off the pod.
I did like a 2-hour session where I just went through and I graded all the picks and then I graded all the drafts. I'm actually creating a model. Well, not model, but the draft value chart, right? So I'm going to try to use the draft value chart, which is normally used for trades, but to create like a draft grade based off of individual grades I give to picks, and like pair them to the draft value, and that's the value that each grade holds, and then put it together. But I haven't done it yet, so
that's really smart. I like that idea.
Maybe tomorrow when we do the West grades, I'll figure it out tonight maybe. But this was a C+ for me. It's like I think they got better, but they didn't get with the draft. I'm like, my biggest thing is, did you get better and by how much? And it doesn't mean that you had to have gotten better this year. There's a couple of teams that did not get better this year, but I still loved their class, and I think their outlook as a future got a whole lot better. Yes, their outlook, their team got a little better, but I don't think they got as good as they could have gotten this. They lost quite a bit of value. Nice picks. I like the Amos and Krosky Merritt pick, but overall, they just want many picks to grade either. Which, if you don't have that many picks, I'm also going to dock you a little bit for that because, like, you should always have.
Draft.
Yes, you should always.
Draft guys.
I want you to have dart throws. All right, I want you to have dart throws in the late round, and they just didn't do a great job. Kind of didn't burn your first round pick, but first round pick is by far the most important pick in the class. And yeah, C+ draft. What about you?
I gave him a B-. Like you said, they got better. I thought they recouped some value with the Trey Amos pick, but they just didn't maximize this one. Nothing head-scratching enough for me to demote them to a C, though.
I agree.
Next up, the Eagles.
All right.
Who took Jihad Campbell, Andrew Makuba, Ty Robinson, Mac McWilliams. This is a much bigger draft class. Smile Munden, Drew Kendall, Kyle McCord, Miles Hinton, Cam Williams, and Antoine Powell Ryland. Let's start it off at the top with Jihad Campbell, who they traded up in a blockbuster deal with the Kansas City Chiefs for.
Had to give him a whole 5th-round pick.
To move up one spot.
Yeah, they already had 3, so.
Just talk about great management from Howie Roseman. Way to play the board.
This was another Howie Roseman masterclass in the first round. Okay, let's just let where was Jihad Campbell on my board? He was very high.
I'm gonna guess 16th.
No, he's actually 23, a little bit lower than I thought he was. But, I mean, let's just take a fantastic player at 31 that is at a position of need and fits the system extremely well. And then guess what? The first time you take him, then you tell your defensive coordinator, the most humorless and heartless man I've ever seen online, Vic Fangio. And then he was my favorite team's head coach for like 2 years. When they took Jihad Campbell, that was the first time I've ever seen him smile. He was so happy that they got Campbell, and it makes sense because Campbell, athletic freak, he can really do everything for you. He can drop back into coverage. He can be your run and chase linebacker, but he can also take on blocks and just fuck guys up at the line of scrimmage. And then he can be a great blitzer, and he can run off the edge. He can rush off the edge for you. He's your classic Sam mold, even though he's a little small for a Sam backer. I think that's what he'll play in the league, but you can put him at Mike as well. He's so versatile, and in a defense that loves versatile players, especially linebackers, and a team that already has a middle linebacker in place as good as Zach Bond, who he can learn from, and he doesn't have to adopt all of this responsibility early on in his career. He can kind of just play that I'm a great athlete role while he learns one of the hardest positions to learn in football. Yeah, that's a really good outlook for Jihad Campbell's career, and this is a great pick for the Eagles as usual.
Perfect guy to add into the pipeline. I feel like Campbell's a little bit misunderstood because he's not necessarily in the mold of a traditional first-round linebacker. I don't view him as like a plug-and-play Mike. I think the run diagnostics in particular need to take a step up.
Yeah.
However, you've got Zach Bond, like you mentioned, he can learn under. And Nakobe Dean's available for the start of next season, right?
Yeah, he should be.
Jahad Campbell, like you said, can be your Sam. He can be your number 3. You can get a little bit of extra pass rush on him, both kicking him out wide on third downs and using him as a more traditional blitzer. This is just a classic smart Eagles pick. To me, yeah, this is an A. This is an A.
Yeah. Firm A for me as well. Just a very nice pick and fits the system. Yeah, this is classic Eagles.
Next up, we have Andrew Makuba with the last pick in the second round of the free safety out of Texas.
Yeah, I got to say, a lot of people said he would go in the second round, and I was a little doubtful of it, but he does. So he sneaks in there.
Over Xavier Watts.
Yeah, I was a little unimpressed by him. Now, it may have been the factor I watched him at the same time I did Jahdae Barron. And it's hard to watch Jahdae Barron play football and be like, yeah, there's another secondary player in there, and, not watch Jahdae Barron. So I watched a lot of Jahdae Barron that night. And maybe Makuba got through the cracks a little bit just because he just wasn't as inspiring to watch as Barron was. I think there's obviously he's a second round prospect. I think there absolutely is a good player there, but I don't know. I probably wouldn't have taken him in the second round. I don't know. What did you think about this pick before? Yeah.
I'm right there with you. It's not terrible because the Eagles love to, like I mentioned, add guys into the pipeline. You don't need him playing immediately. I think he's probably... Wait, who is their second safety? Because C.J. Gardner-Johnson's gone. I know they have Reed Blankenship, who plays a relatively traditional free safety sort of role for him, because you're not going to put Makuba in the box. That's not his game whatsoever. Poor tackler, really struggles to take on blocks. However, I did think his zone coverage was among the best in the class. You hardly ever see him get beat vertical, and he added some playmaking into his game down the stretch. But taking a safety in the second round, look, we're not talking first round. You draft good players in the second. I thought it was a little early. I feel sort of a C for this pick.
Yeah, I give it a C- as well. It just seems like, I don't know, Makuba he was just a little bit of kind of a similar prospect to that of Xavier Watts or Billy Bowman. I just thought he was a little worse than those guys. I think he gets picked above both of them. So, I don't know. A C- as well, just not really that inspiring of a pick. A little bit disappointing when you consider what they did with number 1.
Here's a fun stat. 12.1 passer rating when targeted as a senior.
Yeah, he's a really good deep cover. When there's somebody in front of him, he's going to play him really well. He's got impressive ball skills. He's a smart player who knows what he's looking at, but I don't trust him in man coverage. And when guys get behind him, he just kind of loses that composed sense that you want from a safety. Like Barron, whenever he played safety for Texas versus when Makuba played, it was a big difference because when people got behind Jahdae Barron, first of all, Makuba has good speed, but Barron has better speed, and he was able to recover better. He just looked composed, and maybe I'm talking myself into the Broncos Jahdae Barron pick
Let's go.
with a Makuba pick, but he just looked composed, like he knew what he was doing. He was never worried. Makuba, whenever somebody got behind him, he thought that he had lost, and as a safety, you can never think you've lost. You always have to be sure that you've still won the rep because sometimes you have to let guys behind you and play the trail technique, and that was my biggest knock on him. It just didn't seem like he played the trail.
Okay, so you did see him get beat over the top a few times.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
It wasn't always targeted, but I did see it because not all quarterbacks have the arm nor the eyes to see that, but NFL quarterbacks do.
I just came away a little bit unimpressed with this one after a very impressive first-round pick.
It could have been worse.
It certainly could have been. They got a good football player.
Yeah.
Worst picks in this draft?
There will be not in the Eagles draft.
Okay.
That was the lowest grade pick I have, tied for a couple other ones in this class. But
all right, so moving on to day 3 because they also only had 2 days 1 and 2 selections.
I don't care as much about that because they had 8 day 3 selections.
Where do you want to start here?
Man, let's just do Ty Robinson because that was I love that. I love the player so much. I want to talk about him.
Tell me about him. I didn't watch him.
You didn't? Nah, I've been trying to talk about Ty Robinson this entire cycle. I had a true 4 on him. We just never got the chance. He's 6'5", 288, but plays like he's 320. I mean, he's just a nasty player. I don't really know if he's going to be a starter. like I don't. I mean, it's possible that he's a low end kind of starter.
The Eagles drafted him, Victor.
Yeah, that's what makes me think he could be a starter. But if you're playing for the Eagles, you don't need to start. He's the perfect rotational guy who will come in there with the mindset that I want to murder the quarterback. That's what Ty Robinson wants to do. I mean, he is just a technical mastermind. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's not the best athlete of all time. He's not very fluid. He's not very long. He's underweight. He's 6'5", but he's 288, and that shows sometimes. He's not the best run defender because of that. But he is a good pass rusher who, if a tackle or a guard makes a mistake, he will blow by them. Like, if you lunge, you're gone. And that's what I love so much about him. He's also underweight, but he's yoked up. Like he's jacked. He's strong. So if you do lunge, he's got the club to throw you aside. He's got the hands to just grab on and throw guys aside. Against NFL guards, he will win less. But man, he's still gonna win because NFL linemen aren't perfect. Against good players, he's probably not going to do much for you. But you go against a bad offensive line, Ty Robinson is going to feast. I didn't see almost anybody, especially around this area, that was as good as taking advantage of mistakes from linemen. He's just a smart guy. He's a 24-year-old senior, so it's wired in. He's going to play in the league for quite a bit. I don't know in what capacity, but for the Eagles, yeah, just add another monster rotational defensive lineman who will never stop fighting. Yeah, why not? He's a perfect fit.
You think I can get futures odds on him to get a sack in next year's Super Bowl?
Yeah, that's a really great bet. I would say half a sack would be half a sack.
True, yep. Fair enough.
Because I think he'll at least get half a sack. What about you? Anything stand out from this class?
Just to continue down the board, Mac McWilliams in the 5th round, I mean, that's about right. Did you see any of him?
I didn't.
He took a big step up from 2023 to 2024, where in 2023 he was just awful. There were flashes of really nice zone anticipation, playmaking instincts in 2024. Good athlete as well, good short area quickness. I hated his man coverage ability. Like, he's aggressive, but a lot of the times when quarterbacks get so aggressive with the hands, they just kind of miss and put themselves off balance, and now they've allowed 2 or 3 yards of separation. Yeah. There is a good amount of that for Mac McWilliams, but he is developmental. He's a true senior. I don't remember if he's in his 4th year or 5th year. I think that's fine. Smile Munden, I mean, we've kind of shared our thoughts on Smile Munden. This is a good fit for him, but he plays linebacker the same way that Mac McWilliams plays cornerback. Any disagreements there?
I liked this pick.
Me too.
Because this is the 5th round. This is where he should go. I had a 5 through 6 on him. And for the Eagles, this is really nice. He's a very obviously, he's a will, but I don't know. He was kind of a weird player because he sucked at football, but he's a great athlete. But the thing with those guys is they're not usually one of the best tacklers in the entire nation.
No, they're not.
And Munden absolutely is. He's got it down to a science. So I have 5.2 missed tackle rate. He is really, and there are enough flashes where I'm like, I get it. I wouldn't take him on day 2, like some people were saying, but 5th round, I love it. So I gave this one a B because it was a little high on the range for him, but still, it's a nice fit.
Their final 5th round pick, Drew Kendall, center out of Boston College. I thought that was fine.
That was high.
I'm kind of surprised that he was the first true college center prospect outside of Jared Wilson to come off the board. Over Jake Majors. I know that you hate Seth McLaughlin and hope that he never recovers to play football again, but over Seth McLaughlin, I don't know. I'm willing to give the Eagles some benefit of the doubt to fill out the depth on that offensive line. It's not a terrible pick. I think he'll be a functional player for you, but felt a little early.
Yeah, I had a UDFA on Kendall as well, below McLaughlin even. So.
Oh my God! Wow.
I didn't like that pick. I was just like
you don't think he should play football ever again?
No, I think he should. He was priority UDFA, and you can, but man, he's just not really ever going to be even the 8th best lineman you have. He could be the 10th or the 9th. He's a backup. It's fine, but in the 5th round, you could take a lot better backups.
Fair play.
I don't even know if Mbo is gone yet.
He
went to the Giants, who we'll get to in a second.
So Kendall was 168, and Bo was
154.
He was
gone. He was gone, yeah, but should have traded up. No, it would. Yeah, whatever. It was a whatever pick. I trust the Eagles. I trust the Eagles' offensive line coaches a lot more than I trust my ability to evaluate offensive line, but still. McCord at 181.
God damn it! Why did
Fine.
it have to be here? We're not
Yeah.
going to see him for 3 years.
Just get another white quarterback in there.
Yeah, he'll have one good game
Quality
at the end of the
backup.
year. You'll trade him away for a 4th-round pick. He'll do nothing
Do it
for
again.
the next team. He comes back in free agency afterwards after he gets cut. Going to work out great for the Eagles.
They pick this guy every year, and they trade him away for the same draft capital that they picked him with, and I love it. It's a great cycle. Miles Hinton was a solid depth piece for the spot, but then they took Cam Williams at 207.
That's a really good pick of Cam
Yeah.
Williams. Like, I hated Cam Williams' tape. When he was
It was
getting,
awful.
like, second, third round round hype, I thought that was
Terrible.
borderline atrocious. But in the 6th round, like,
I mean, I
he's
get
a
that.
third-year junior, isn't he? He's got
Yeah.
some athletic tools to become a starting tackle for
Plus,
you.
he's 6'6", 317, and 34.5-inch arm.
It's the length being paired with, like, 4.5 out of 10 athletic tools. If you can get the hands into a good spot, he can be
Yeah.
a really solid starter for
Plus, like with the gap scheme, really what you want him to do is just get off the line and land the hands and just drive dudes backwards. And man, he can get off the line quickly. That's his best athletic trait. He's got the long arms to land. I mean, he does not have the technique to do it, but he technically has the length to do it. And then you got to give him credit. He is a tenacious blocker. I mean, he wants to play the position. So this is the kind of player that the Eagles usually develop and develop them good. And I mean, he's a very raw player. It's unlikely he's ever a starter, but on the off chance he figures it out under Stoutland's still the Eagles line
believe
coach.
so,
I mean,
yeah.
if anybody's going to teach him how to be Lane Johnson, Jeff Stoutland's the guy.
That's the
So,
comp.
yeah, he's not even close to Lane Johnson, but yeah, he's a really nice 4th to a 5th grade for me. So get him in the 6th. For the Eagles, it's just a really nice pick. Plus, he's got a really nice anchor in pass pro. I mean, 13 penalties, but you take the good with the bad.
Rookie numbers for Trevor Penning, who's a starting right tackle.
Yeah, that's what you want him to be. You want him to be Trevor Penning.
There you go. And then their last pick, Antoine Powell-Ryland from Virginia Tech. I only saw a little bit of him. I know he's sort of a heavy-handed hybrid end. Did you see more of him by chance?
I did. Yeah, I like Powell Ryland quite a bit. Sorry, these guys always kind of blend together. I got to pull up my notes just to remember a little bit. Yeah, I mean, he's a really big guy who makes his money on the power, but he's 31-inch arms. So
Okay. Grow those out a little bit.
it's kind of tough to do that. But yeah, he likes the power, but he can do so many things. He's a really technically proficient player. Good hands that they jolt guys, even with the 31-inch arms. I mean, talk about those 31-inch arms have more power packed into them than some 35-inch arm guys. You know what I mean? He'll throw guys backwards, but he's also just out of control in the best possible way. Like, it's a controlled chaos. When he's running at the line, his hands are always landing perfectly, but you can never predict what he's going to do. So again, just add another monster who is impossible to predict and is just kind of an insane person. Add another one of those guys to the D line. Yeah, sure. I had a true 5 on him. He goes in the 6th. Great pick.
What grade did you have on the Philadelphia Eagles draft class?
Overall, I gave this one a B+, just because there was a lot of great picks, but there were there were also a few wasted picks. So it was like, I love some of these picks. Some of my favorite picks in the class, but I didn't love the 2nd round pick, and you did waste a couple of picks down the board. So B+ is about right, I think.
I went straight B for them. Getting Jahad Campbell at 31 in the 1st round, that did a lot of heavy lifting. Like you mentioned, there were some nice picks down the board, but I do think looking back 4 years from now, they're going to have more misses than hits in this class.
I agree.
But, it's the Eagles, so they'll all hit.
Yeah.
Next up, the Dallas Cowboys. Tyler Booker, Donovan Ezaraku, Savone Revel, Jaden Blue, Shamar James, Johnny Cornelius, Jay Toya, Phil Maffa, and Tommy Akingbestow, defensive tackle out of Minnesota. Some of the best names in this draft class. They got Ezaraku, Savone Revel, and Akingbestow. I mean, you're sidelining guys like a Johnny Cornelius. Come on, that's not even fair. But what did you think of Tyler Booker at 12? Because this was one of the bigger shocks of the 1st round.
Sorry, my fault. I've completely forgot, but I wanted to when we're doing draft grades coverage, we never see people talk about the UDFA, so I wanted to spend some time talking about the UDFA.
Oh, yeah, I looked for the Commanders and didn't see anybody.
There
I
was
forgot to do it
nobody
for the
notable for the Commanders,
Eagles.
though they did draft a wide receiver named Jacoby Jones, so maybe he'll be the second coming.
Isn't it Jacoby George?
No, it's Jacoby Jones.
Really?
Yeah.
They got Jacoby Jones?
Well, according to NFL.com.
Huh.
But anyway, Eagles have quite a few notable UDFAs, including the best UDFA signing of the class in Rutgers tackle / I'm projecting him into guard, Holland Pierce. Anti-ring the bell. Jesus Christ. Anti-ring the bell for that one because, man, I had a 2 through 3 on Holland Pierce, and he didn't get drafted. Why? What the fuck happened? Did he kill somebody in the interview or something? Like, I do not understand. Holland Pierce was my 7th rated interior offensive lineman. I mean, or 8th. This is a massive human being who swallows people whole when they come into his arm range, which is 36 inches. So it's like, yeah, everybody's in that range. So he just absorbs guys. Yeah, I mean, and okay, he must have terrible technique. No, he has good hand technique, I feel like, in both facets of the game. I mean, he knows how to use his arms to hit guys and get leverage as well as he can for a 6'8" guy. Did not get penalized much. He was a solid athlete. I mean, he's a poor anchor, but that was really at tackle when he was getting both raced to the edge and stuff like that, and he had to overset, and that would create some destabilization issues. But I think that, man, you brush up some of the technique, which is not perfect. It's good, but it's not perfect. You brush up some of that. You move him inside to guard. He's just going to be a monster who cannot be moved. I have no idea how the league allowed him to go to the Eagles in the UDFA range. This is a baffling fall for me. One of my favorite players in the class. He made our My Guys episode. So anti-ring the bell. I wanted to talk about him. And there were a couple other guys they signed.
They cleaned up an undrafted free agency now that I look at it.
They brought in Shunderick Powell from Central Arkansas, Florida guy, Montreal Johnson, running back, took the Toledo safety, Maxon Hook. All 3 guys I had draftable grades on.
I had a draftable grade on B.J. Mays, the defensive back from Texas A&M as well. They did fantastic, as usual.
Yeah. So Holland Pierce, mark my word, I think Holland Pierce is going to be a starter one day. And I think they got him in the UDFA range. Unless he has off the field or injury issues that I don't know about, which it's always possible. And you wouldn't hear about him as much because he was a day 3 guy. So it's possible, but he's got starting level tape in my opinion.
Speaking of big-ass men, Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama.
Let's do the Dallas one. I've come around on this pick. I've come around. It's still a C- because it's too high for Tyler Booker. But did you see the post-draft interviews?
I think I saw some clips of them.
Man.
And got a good impression.
I was like, holy fuck. The interview he did with Micah Parsons, did you see that one?
No.
Oh my God.
I know he's like a football character dude.
Yeah, no. Micah Parsons asked, what do you love most about football? And then he's like, yeah, I love seeing the love drain out of other people's eyes. What?
Jesus Christ.
He says, when I step onto the field, every play after play, I continue to beat these guys down. This is a game that they love so much as a child. I love to see it leave their eyes as they realize there's no way they can compete with Tyler Booker. And I'm like, holy fuck. What in the hell?
He follows him to the plane.
Nah, this is...
Doesn't matter, the game's over, buddy.
No, we're running sets we're running sets 35,000 feet in the air. What are you doing? Tyler Booker's a football guy. So even if, and this is a perfect scheme fit for him, obviously. He needs to go to a gap system, and yeah, he goes to a gap system. Perfect scheme fit for him as well. I mean, he's got plenty of guys to learn under. Tylers who are already succeeding in the league. He's going to learn from Tyler Guyton and Tyler Smith, right? The wall of Tylers. And you put him next to Cooper Beebe. That is monstrous. That's scary. 2 330-pound men who hit harder than most guys in the league. I get the vision. I see it. If it was at 22, I think this would be like an A-, B+ pick. If it was at 32, it'd probably be an A pick. But 12 was very high. I love the player. The athletic concerns were always going to be there. You're just going to deal with him. If the Cowboys think that their system, he has enough athleticism to thrive in his system, I think this is a fine pick.
The fact that the Cowboys basically only run inside is huge in terms of scheme fit for Tyler Booker.
If this was Miami, it's an F.
Well, obviously.
Right.
mock draft destination number 1.
Oh,
Going
Jesus
there every
Christ.
mock draft. Oh,
Yeah.
good times. I'm glad that we're done with that phase of the draft process. You said you came around on this pick to a C-. I think I'd give this like a C+
Yeah.
because, I mean, you mentioned the interviews. He's also just like a stud guard on the field, fills a position in need after Zach Martin retires. You get the Tyler trio, Tyler. You can't write the stuff. It's
love
not.
it.
It's not good. Like, it's
No.
early, but it's fine.
But I mean, I couldn't give it that because he was my 33rd player on the board,
Yeah.
and at a position that is a little less valuable
Yeah.
as well. I just like in a guard class that's also really nice. I like this class down the board. I couldn't give it that high, but man, I love the dude and the stuff that he was keeping everybody hype in the green room. He was hyped up for his boys that got drafted, Jalen Milroe and them. I mean, when he got drafted, he carried Jalen Milroe out the green room as well. He's just a fun dude, and I'm excited to see him play football. He's a fun dude to watch as well. And that interview, he's a funny. I really hope that he succeeds in the league. And this absolutely could pay off for him. And he's going to be a starter at worst, which is
definitely.
so rare to find, especially an offensive line. Yeah. I couldn't rate it that high, but I want to say that I love this pick, but I just can't give it the grade.
Another big-time football character guy, but of a little bit of a different flavor, Donovan Ezaraku, the edge rusher from Boston College, a guy with first-round hype. And look, I was never there on Ezaraku.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's ever going to be anything better than the 35th best edge rusher in the NFL. But I think he's got a very high floor. I love the way that he plays football, even if I wouldn't take it in the first. And I think this is a really nice range for him. The Cowboys need a pass rush injection. They lost DeMarcus Lawrence. It sounds like Sam Williams probably never going to pan out for them. I actually haven't hated what I've seen on the field, but I know he's had injuries and other stuff as well. I like this pick a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ezaraku a little bit more than you do. I think I had a 1 through 2 on him. I gave this pick an A+ because it wasn't enough value that I can call it a certified steal, but he was really good. I mean, I think he could probably be the 23rd best edge in the league.
Fair enough.
So I think because of that ceiling difference, I'm just going to like this pick a little bit more than you, but it's okay because we both see Ezaraku similarly. It's just I do think he has the athletic traits to be a good and a great NFL player. And he has long arms, even if he's a little undersized. People forget, man, this guy has tree trunks for arms. 34 inch arms.
them.
Yes. He has shown flashes of a crippling bull rush, which I don't think people really attributed to him. There's like, he doesn't have any power. No, just it wasn't there often because he didn't use it often. And when he did try, it didn't always work. But when he was able to bend the knees, get the leverage, and just land the arms and extend, man, it was really nice. So get him with Micah Parsons. Teach him how to do that a little bit more. He can be a really nice guy. I never thought that he was going to be this elite number 1, though. That's why I love that he's going to Dallas, where Micah Parsons can be the number 1 and Ezaraku can be the terrorized number 2 tackles. So this is a great fit. Again, a 3-4 system, like undersized edge rushers, works really well. And you can put in Nealand, who's that kind of now this is great for Marshawn Nealand.
Where did they take him last year?
3rd, I think.
Okay.
This is great for him because now he can be the rotational change of pace bruiser. Nealand's a Cowboy, right?
Yeah, he's a Cowboy.
I forget sometimes because literally everyone in the world mocked him to the Detroit Lions. So I forget he's not.
We
in
can
the Lions
understand
sometimes.
why, by the way.
But
They could have used Marshawn Nealand last year.
They could have. But he's a nasty kind of player, so he can be the number 3, add some power to that rotation. This is a really nice looking line now, especially with a pick down the board, which I absolutely love. It's one of my favorite picks in the class. Jay Toya in the 7th round. I had a 4th or a 5th on him. And this is a really nice line now. If they hadn't ruined Mozzie Smith, this would be one of the best defensive lines in football. Already is, maybe.
So we agree on the Ezaraku pick. That's fantastic. And then I think this gets a ring the bell for both of us.
Ring the bell.
Savone Revel in the 3rd round. A worthless piece of shit. Not so fast.
Nope.
I think this is a great spot for him.
Love it. Not so fast. Did not know I would be coming away with an A- in the Savone Revel pick, but 76 is great value. I mean, that's good value. I had a 2 through 3 on him, so that's the lower range of where I thought I would take him. And I don't think Revel had this otherworldly tape that people said he did, but
in either year, by the way.
Yeah, he was still solid, good enough that I'm like, yeah, you can be an NFL player, just crazy linear athlete, But yeah, the tape wasn't impressive. I thought he was a okay lateral athlete. Had a lot of technique issues to work on. Eyes would get caught up in the backfield sometimes. Plus, coming off an ACL tear, a lot not to like about him in the first round, but in the third round, man, there's not much to dislike about this pick.
And he is going to like plug into this Cowboys secondary that was massively hurting for depth last year, because what they were trotting out last year can't possibly be much better than Savo and Revel, right? Like, this is a third-round pick that you're probably going to be able to play as a rookie. I like that he's in the same room as Deron Bland and Stephon Diggs' brother, Trayvon Diggs, because I think he can be coached up as far as his ball skills in that sort of mold, because I did see some nice flashes of ball production at East Carolina, especially like looking underneath, reading the quarterback's eyes, and using that linear athleticism to trigger on throws to the flats. I like this for the Cowboys. As far as a Savone Revel landing spot, barring like a team getting him in the third where he can be the cornerback 4, be the dime back for you, that would be like the luxury. As far as a team getting him in the third and making the most of him immediately and in the future, I like Dallas a lot.
Yeah, it's a really nice pick.
Do you want to talk about Jay Toya on day 3, jump to the 7th round?
I mean, he was one of my favorite players in this entire class. Pity I got to him after the My Guys episode, because he definitely would have been, I would have talked about him alongside Alfred Collins. I mean, man, they need run defense. It's no secret. And Jay Toya is a plug-and-play run defender. I don't think that he's ever going to be, like, a game changer or anything. You know what I mean? He's just not that kind of player.
Doesn't have to be for him.
But no, when you take him in the 7th round, he doesn't have to be that. He can just be a nasty run defender who can play the nose, and you can kind of, like, they put all that weight. How much did they put on Mozzie Smith? Do you remember?
Like physical weight?
Yeah.
Like 340-ish pounds? How heavy was Mozzie?
Because coming out of college, what was he? Do you remember? Like what range he was? I don't quite remember.
337.
Coming out of college?
He was 325 coming out of college, and he was up to 337 with the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that poor guy!
They put all that weight on him.
They're just force feeding him.
Mozzie Smith would have been a great run defending 3-tech, but now you bring in Jay Toya. Now I don't know if he's a 7th round pick. He's probably not going to start. But if I picked him in the 4th round, which is where I thought he could go, a little high, but where he thought he could go, yeah, you can play him there. And you can play him at nose tackle, move Mozzie Smith back to his more natural 3-tech position, let him feast as a pass rusher if you haven't destroyed him completely as a player, and let Jay Toya come in on rundowns. And I think, like, he's just not a good athlete, so he's never going to be this fantastic. He's never going to be this fantastic pass rusher, but he absolutely has the effort and the motor to be that cleanup guy. 2-3 sacks a year as a starting nose with the mass to take up 2 gaps. Not the longest arms, never going to be the best shedder, but he's like, if you wanted Jamari Caldwell 4 rounds later, Jay Toya was your guy, and Jamari Caldwell was another one of my favorite players. So I have a love for this archetype, and it'll go great in Dallas. So Toya is one of my favorite picks in the class, certified steal for me.
Great pick. Now I keep getting this vision of the Tylers ambushing Mozzie Smith in the cafeteria and just force-feeding him bacon cheeseburgers. So there's a visual for you. Let's jump back up to the top of day 3. Jaden Blue. In the 5th round, I think this is the upper range of where I take Jaden Blue, and I don't think it's an overdraft. I understand it because he's got unlimited athletic tools, really nice flashes as a route runner, knows what to do when he gets the ball in his hands as a receiver. As a running back, he's slippery and has moments of decisiveness hitting the hole, but I thought the between the tackles tape was pretty rough. Not really any play strength whatsoever to speak of, and he also fumbles a bunch. So tell me how you think he'll play into the Cowboys committee.
Well, I mean, I think he's kind of that, if Tony Pollard was worse at football, this is what he would look like.
And maybe a little bit better as a receiver at some point.
I mean, not really. Pollard was a good receiver, too. So it's just, this is Tony Pollard, but worse at football. So I don't hate it. This was a little early for me, but there were a lot of better players available, but I had a 5 through 7 on him. And I really hate the team because this is obviously, we talked about him. They love to run inside. And man, I do not get why they drafted him if you want to run inside the tackles, because Jaden Blue is pretty much useless in between the tackles.
This is the receiving help for CeeDee Lamb, isn't it?
Yeah. He's probably just going to be a pure receiver. So, yeah, I like that. It's just a pure receiver. He's a nice player. Probably wouldn't take him in the 5th, but because Brashard Smith was still here, he would have been nice. He's better in between the tackles, and he's a better receiver. So, but I don't know if you want to pivot to a more wide zone system and tell Cooper Beebe and Tyler Booker to lose 30 pounds and lose everything that makes them good at football. Which, that sounds insane, but
There's
that's what
an
they
option.
did. That's what they did with Mozzie Smith, except the opposite. They told him to gain 20 pounds and lose everything that made him good at football. So Cowboys are a bad organization. But
Phil Maffa in the
Yes.
7th, though. I like the vision behind that a little more.
ring the bell. Glad he got drafted. Love that guy. Is he going to be a starter? No, but I mean he's nasty. I love guys who love to play the position. Love the physical aspects of it. Phil Maffa's that guy, and he's an underrated receiver. He can run routes, so I like Maffa. I like the pick.
I think he'll get on the field, especially if they try and plug in Javonte Williams, and it's clear pretty early that he's just cooked by the injuries. You
Yeah.
pivot to a younger guy.
Phil
fresher.
Maffa can be Javonte Williams cooked by the injuries. I think he can be that.
He can absolutely be that, but you don't have to give carries to Javonte Williams cooked
Yeah.
by the injuries. You can give it to the new rookie you drafted.
Exactly.
Maybe put a few more S's in the seat, see the new guy play.
On a rookie contract. Your guy Shamar James got drafted by them 5th round though, higher.
Yeah, it was early.
Yeah, it was
His tape was really bad.
quite early. But you understand, the Cowboys love the athletic linebacker.
The thing is, he's like not really athletic.
He's a good tester.
Did he test well? Because his
Well, I
speed,
thought he would be a good tester.
his speed really unimpressed me on tape. What he has is short area quickness,
Yeah.
some ability to plant, redirect. You like that in coverage, and you at times saw it show up in coverage. And there are moments of really good instincts and anticipation. It's just very hit or miss.
Yeah.
I don't think this is terrible. In fact, I'm kind of talking myself back into Shamar James in the 5th round because he could be a starting linebacker for you. I think he's athletic enough to do that. He is young. He's a third-year junior. He can not only begin to process faster, which, by the way, you don't say this about linebackers very often. His best tape was absolutely at the Senior Bowl, where he was authentically one of the best players in attendance. Again, you stick a little bit more weight on him, ends up on the right side of the 8-ball, keeps getting better. Tackling's got to come along as well. That's one of my big hangups. He could be the 40th best linebacker in the NFL as a will if the development really comes along. It's a fine pick is where I'm going with
It's
this.
a nice pick in the 7th round, but in the 5th, it just feels a little early. And then I think the last guy we haven't talked about is a Johnny Cornelius, 5th round, about where he should go.
I agree. I agree.
He's just a nice depth piece for a team that likes to run a little bit more gap and a little less zone.
4th tackle. We did not talk about a King Bestow who,
Yes,
he probably won't make the team. I did see a little bit of him just kind of watching the Minnesota defensive line. He's got really long arms. He probably got drafted because he has 33.5-inch arms.
Whew.
He's of that variety of defensive tackle that really likes to do a lot with the hands and move laterally and not use a bull rush. And very occasionally you'll get a really sexy win and a nice pressure where he uses those long arms to distance himself and then bring down the quarterback. And most of the time it's just like, oh yeah, I forgot you were there.
So you're saying he's Kenneth Grant?
I'm saying he's Kenneth Grant if Kenneth Grant couldn't defend the run.
Oh, okay.
But I like that he's going to
So
learn from Osa Digizu if he makes the team. So not a terrible pick. It's fine.
Yeah.
Cool name. Badass name.
Very cool. This is a cool name draft, like you said. What's the overall grade?
I gave him a B+, man.
I did too.
I loved what they did on day 2.
This is a rare good draft from the Cowboys, and I think this made their team a whole lot better. And this is a draft that I like. I feel like I like it more than I think I like it. It's like the emotional side of me is like, yeah, this draft is A+. But then I think critically about the picks, and I'm like, this is a B+ draft.
It's rock solid.
Yeah.
And finally, capping off the NFC East, we've got the Giants, who took Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick. We're going to come back to this one at the end of the recap. Darius Alexander in the 3rd round, Cam Scadaboo in the 4th, Marcus Bowe in the 5th, Thomas Fidone in the 7th, as well as Corey Black, who was one of the first players that came off the board who I was just not at all aware of. And they moved up into the 1st to grab Jackson Dart. And let's start there, Victor. What do you think?
Baffling draft. Because
yes.
Let's forget about the Jackson Dart pick for a second. I know we just let's start there, but the rest of this draft is fantastic. And then you have Jackson Dart. It took everything in my power not to give this an F. And I didn't. I gave it a D-.
Oh my God. Wait, the pick or the
Yeah,
draft?
The pick.
Okay.
No, the rest of this draft's incredible. I actually did not.
I thought you hated the Jackson Dart pick that much. They just
No.
failed the entire thing.
I forgot to give this class a grade. So probably comes out to about a B plus, A minus, something in that range, because the rest of this class is truly incredible. We'll get to them. Jackson Dart. I am one of the people lower on Dart in the community. 3 through 4 on him. Didn't really see it with him. Like, I mean, his people are talking about his arm like he was Zach Wilson. 17th best arm in the league, maybe.
Solid starting arm.
He's a solid starting arm without solid, and he's a solid starting arm with good athletic attributes, but like basically zero starting quality stuff that I saw on tape. Not zero, but just nothing that when I was watching Ole Miss, there's nothing that made me think, yeah, that's an NFL starter right there.
His down-to-down pocket presence really stuck out to me in a negative way.
Horrid. I mean, you try to watch Trey Harris, and it's like that. Then I get this nagging feeling, and it's Jackson Dart overthrowing him by about 15 yards. And it's like Trey Harris was already super productive, but he could have been more productive. And it seems like every time you throw him a 50-50 ball, you made it a 60-40 for the corner, because you are 50-50 balls are already 65-35s for the corner, but he made them 75-25s, of which Trey Harris still brought down 60% because he's a freak of nature. But Jackson Dart certainly didn't help the thing. There were moments where I was like, yeah, that's a nice touch. And then the next play, he overthrows it by 15 yards. And the next play, he just hits it's like the Kenny Pickett throw from last year. He just throws it in the dirt, and he doesn't even hit the line of scrimmage. He just forgets to release the football.
That's one of the funniest football clips I've ever seen.
Well, get ready to see it a lot, because Jackson Dart's going to recreate it a lot.
It's like you described a pump fake to an alien.
That's a great comp. But Dart, it's like you described Zach Wilson to an alien, and as the prospect, and it just didn't make much sense. In the third round, sure, he's a guy who could eventually theoretically become a starter, but especially for this, you're kind of planting your flag if you're Dayball and Shane on Dart being good year one, because if he's not, you're gone. So yeah, they're gone.
He's like the vacant outline of a franchise quarterback, because he's got the production, he's got the pedigree, he's got the kick-ass eye black, he's the youngest QB prospect in this year's class, but man, the physical tools, like you said, 5, 6 out of 10 for a starting quarterback in the NFL. I think I maybe like his athleticism a little more than you do.
No, I like his athleticism
a lot better than Sanders.
Yeah, no, I like his athleticism is very good. I think he'll be a good running quarterback in the league, but
position change.
Yeah, but yeah, 6.5, 7 out of 10 arm, which it's like if he had a 10 out of 10 arm and 9 out of 10 athletic tools versus 8 out of 10 athletic tools and 6.5 out of 10 arm, you could talk me into it in the first round. Hell, I almost put Anthony Richardson over C.J. Stroud because I love that archetype so much.
Good save.
Yeah, almost. Almost is the key word there. I didn't. But Dart, I didn't give it an F because in all the interviews I've seen of him, he looks like a really good guy. And that's the kind of quarterback that will succeed not only in the league, but in the New York media circus. The interviews that he did with Gruden seems like he knows what he's talking about, and he's a smart quarterback, even if it doesn't show on the field sometimes. He's a smart guy and who knows what it takes to win. So I didn't give it an F because of that. I think he can succeed because he has the mental fortitude to keep pushing. But then again, I thought that with Anthony Richardson. The big reason I was so in on Anthony Richardson was because he's all of these tools, and then every interview I see of him, this is an NFL mind. He's got the Mamba mentality, and then he never was good. So it's changed my view a little bit. Maybe Jackson Dart is hurting. They're not remotely similar prospects. I don't know why I'm bringing them up in conversation with each other, but maybe he hurt just because Anthony Richardson changed my evaluation criteria for quarterback so drastically that Jackson Dart is even getting the fallout.
You heard it here first. Jackson Dart going to complete 48% of his passes on the career.
If he's lucky.
If he's lucky. Let's talk about another player that we absolutely hate, and that's Abdul Carter at 3. Surely, right? This is a terrible pick?
A- pick. I mean...
Very solid.
Yeah, it's just a good pick because, yes, we didn't think Carter was a blue chipper. We both had him as our number 1 edge. Both had him as top 10 player in the class. We both think he's probably going to be a starter one day and could become one of the best players to ever play football.
I think he's a starting lock. I think he's probably going to be a stud someday.
When we say probably, it's like virtually a lock to be a starter one day. It's a virtual lock, not a complete lock, but a virtual lock. He's just got quite a lot of work to do to become that kind of worth a top 3 pick, worth a number 1 potentially pick. Even though we went 3 is a lot easier to digest than 1, but still, if he went 1, I wouldn't hate the pick whatsoever. fantastic athlete. Seems he's like, again, high motor guy, wants to improve, did improve a lot. And you don't find these athletic tools every day. And the improvement, drastic improvement from week 1 to the semis was enough that I'm like, yeah, 3, this is a perfectly good pick.
If you could find a suitor for him to come up, I would prefer to trade down because this is definitely not a position of need for them. It's like, now what do you do with Kayvon Thibodeau? He's still on the team. It's hard
cares?
to see Thibodeau wanting to be a 3, but I'm talking from a value perspective because they want to win this year. And I don't know how much better Abdul Carter is than Kayvon Thibodeau in year 1.
But it's like, I don't know, I think he'll be better than Kayvon Thibodeau year 1. I'd do this just to get Kayvon Thibodeau off the roster, honestly.
You hate him that much?
Yeah, it just seems like he brings everybody down there. And when you pair that with Darius Alexander in the 3rd round, I need somebody to convince me this isn't the best defensive line in football.
Darius Alexander in the 3rd round, beside Dexter Lawrence getting all the double teams, where you can really lean into Alexander's best trait, which is his pass rushing. That's really nice. I don't think it's the best. Oh, man.
What is, though?
Is it?
San Francisco, made up of purely rookies. Best run defending defensive line.
Does Pittsburgh still have a strong case?
Yeah, I got to give to Pittsburgh.
I mean,
over
as
them.
long as Cam Hayward is still chugging along.
You throw Derek Harmon in the mix.
Yeah.
It's Pittsburgh still.
But they've made it neck and neck.
Fuck, yeah, this is a good defensive line. When they made this pick, we were both just like, yeah, you're cooked if you're an NFC East offensive line, man. This is just nasty. And it does, if you have a truly elite position group, that gives you a chance to be competitive because they can just take over a game, especially when you've got Abdul Carter's the number 2. Brian Birds can go out there. He can be Spider-Man. If Abdul Carter's playing at the top of his game, and Dexter Lawrence is always playing better than every other defensive lineman in history, not named Chris Jones, Aaron Donald, and a few old guys like, Reggie White. Who cares about him?
Who's that?
Yeah, never heard of him before. Dexter Lawrence is always playing like that. So if Abdul Carter's playing at the top of his game, this is all of a sudden an unblockable defensive line that will shatter any offensive game plan. They can be that disruptive, and this makes me think this team can win some games, especially because I like what they did down the board. I like what they did in free agency. This is a nice roster. It's a better roster than people give them credit for. If Russell Wilson can, I don't know, one of Russell Wilson or Jameis Winston can tap into something and figure something out, they could win 9 games this year. I think they can.
Well, moving on to day 3, I think the first player they drafted, Cam Scadaboo, is going to play a very active role in that because he gives you a skill set that you just do not have with Tyrone Tracy, a skill set that they were hurting for last year. The sort of thumper, it feels weird to call Scadaboo that because his game is more just bouncing off of dudes versus bowling over them. But that sort of contact balance back who is going to be by far better than anything you had last year between the tackles. Hopefully he doesn't fumble in any huge spots. But I think that's excellent value in the 4th round, and I had a 4 to a 5 on Scadaboo. I just think this is the ultimate destination for him to go.
Yeah, and I had a true 3 on him. I liked him quite a bit. I gave this an A. This is a great spot for Scadaboo as well. Like you said, run between the tackles and just let guys fall off of him. And now you got him and Tracy working out of the backfield as receiving threats. Man, who needs receivers when you got Cam Scadaboo and Tyrone Tracy?
And I really like that because Tyrone Tracy, a converted receiver, it doesn't have to be like a tell based on which one of them is on the field because they can both do both things. We saw Tracy take the starting job for a reason last year. He can be a fully functional starting running back, even if you're looking to upgrade. And Cam Scadaboo, who we think of as a little bit more of a thumper, is still very functional catching passes out of the backfield. I mean, not all that much worse than Tracy. His ASU tape as a receiver, pretty solid. Top 5 to 6 in this class that had some really nice receiving options like Brashard Smith, LaQuinn Allen, Jaden Blue. Really impressive stuff.
Yeah, and, Russell Wilson loves to throw to his backs more than anybody. So this is a good spot. He can be, he reminds me a little bit, his closest comp is Samaje Perine, and that's not bad.
That is a good comp.
It's not bad. And that's on the lower end of what I think he'll be. So, and Russell Wilson played with Samaje Perine in Denver, and he seemed like 50% of his targets were to Samaje Perine. And man, Perine always took him for 4 yards. He would just die after the 4th yard, but he took him for 4 yards. If you try to tackle him a yard down, he's going to drag you with him. So I like it.
He's like the most obvious fantasy football sleeper of all time because everybody already knows who he is.
It's Samaje Perine. Is he the best football player? No, but he's going to catch 50 balls in 3 games.
Oh, I'm talking about Scadaboo this year.
Yeah.
He's going to, I'm
guy?
drafting him first overall.
There you go.
Better pick than CMC was before me. Anyway, Marcus Bowe on a Purdue. Victor, who is their starting center?
Oh, man. Well, it's Schmidt still, right?
Yeah, you're right. It is John Michael Schmitz.
But she hasn't been fantastic.
Give me their starting offensive line, like interior.
Runyon, John Michael Schmitz, and Greg Van Roten.
What is Greg Van Roten's status? Was he there last year?
Well, I believe he was, yeah. Because his last team was Vegas, and he didn't play there last year. So
there's opportunity here for Bowe to be the rare day 3 offensive lineman that makes an impact in year 1. I don't think it'll happen. He needs to put on a lot of play strength, and he's sort of positionless right now because, man, it's just hard to see him developing as a tackle. Do you remember how they announced him?
No. I think it was a guard, though.
Oh, okay. If they're going to call him a guard, that's really interesting. I like this pick. I think this is exceptional value down the board.
No, I mean, this is a certified steal. I was higher on him than most. I think he's just a fantastic football player that if he can find a position, he will be very good at it. And I think the Giants, with what they want to run, I think Daboll has experience playing with, I can't remember his name, but whenever Daboll was in Buffalo as the OC, they had a center, it was 295, and he worked with him well, and he was a starter, and he played well. So Daboll can do it. Yeah, I love him, Bo. I love Bo, and I'm really glad that he went to a team that I think they'll believe in him. Wish he would have gone a little higher to justify the grade, the 2 through 3 grade, but hell, Holland Pierce didn't get taken, and I gave him a 2 through 3. So we're not here to tell you what everybody else thinks.
And lastly, we have Thomas Fidone out of Nebraska. I saw a little bit of him, and honestly, I came away pretty impressed. A guy with some decent straight line athleticism, good size as well. I liked his mentality, at least as a blocker, a little bit rough around the edges, but as a 7th-round dart throw, I think that's a great place to take your developmental tight ends because there tends to be a surplus of them, and I think Fidone's a player who could have gone a little bit earlier. Great name as well.
Yeah, put him alongside Theo Johnson. Just see what happens. Somebody's bound to work out.
They did make another pick. We don't talk about Oklahoma State guys. What grade did you give this draft?
Well, I didn't give it a grade. Right now, I don't know.
Did you grade any draft?
I guess not. I don't know. This is a tough draft to grade because I like most of the picks. We'll give it a B plus, just because I can't give it. We'll knock it a whole letter grade just because that was how bad the Jackson Dart pick was.
I actually gave this one a B minus because I thought Abdul Carter at 3 was fine, and I thought Jackson Dart at 25 was terrible. And those are your 2 big-ticket picks. Don't get me wrong. I like Darius Alexander in the 3rd. Very early 3rd, but I still think that's really solid valuation on him. I like Scatabo. I like Bo. I like Fidone, but the money's made on days 1 and 2. Most of the time, they had 2 first-round picks, and I don't love what they did.
That's fair.
And I'm not giving a C either.
Yeah. All right. Let me see.
Change in divisions.
Yeah. Well, let me just make sure there wasn't anybody.
Oh, UDFAs.
There was nobody for Dallas that jumped off the page.
Yeah, I looked at them as well.
Shout out Bo Collins, Notre Dame receiver. Don't think he'll make the roster, but I thought he was fine. And they grabbed the Virginia Tech receiver, Daquan Felton.
Okay.
The other one.
That's a good pickup.
So that's a solid. They got a couple of nice receivers, and they got Juice Wells as well. So they really hit the receiver well.
Nice.
Thank you.
Added some juice.
There you go. So couple of nice pickups for the Giants. Just add depth to that receiver room. See if anybody can make the roster. I like it. All right.
We have the AFC East up next. And I want to start with the Buffalo Bills, who took Maxwell Hairston at the back end of the 1st, moved up for TJ Sanders. Am I getting that right? Because I don't have the trades in front of me. It's all off of memory.
They moved up.
Landon Jackson in the 3rd. Man, we're going to get to TJ Sanders. Dion Walker in the 4th, Jordan Hancock in the 5th, Jackson Haas as well in the 5th, Dorian Strong and Chase Lunt in the 6th, and Caden Prather rounding out the 7th round. I like the Maxwell Hairston selection. I don't love it.
Yeah.
We both really like Alfred Collins. I wouldn't have adored that pick either, but they didn't get their 1-tech defensive tackle in this draft. Because we're going to get to TJ Sanders. He's not that. Dion Walker is somehow 340 pounds of not that. This is like the position that everybody around the team wanted, and they didn't fill it out. I like Hairston. He's going to be a good fit for their zone-heavy scheme because he's got a lot of developing to do. He could be like, hell, he has upside to be better than Christian Benford, but he's just so
Wow.
far away from it right now.
Gosh, I don't know,
Christian
man.
Benford's had one really good year. It's kind of hard to know what he is
Who
right
cares? And also,
now.
he hasn't.
He was a stud last year, yeah.
He 2 years ago. Just because nobody was saying that he was good doesn't mean he wasn't good.
That was before I was a ball knower, Victor.
That's
Cut me some
fair.
slack.
That's fair. I don't know. I've been on the Benford. Listen. He got drafted in the 7th round. I will never stop bringing it up that I had a 3rd round grade on
Let's
him.
go.
I will never stop bringing it up that I love Christian Benford. And I thought so that should tell you Holland Pierce, he will be a stud because I hit on my picks.
Well, he plays for the Eagles.
Yes, sir. Exactly. But Benford, I thought he was going to be great. Guess what? He was. He was good. He was a starter in his rookie year. Next year he went out, he was better. Maybe even above average starter. This year, I'll say he's a top 5 corner in football. I don't care.
Agreed.
I'll say it. So, yeah. But then you pair him with Maxwell Harrison. I can't say I hate this pick. I gave it an A- just because it's a perfect scheme fit. And when it was picked, I was like, yeah, this is high. But then I remembered Maxwell Harrison's 35th on my board. This is not high. It's a high value position. It's a great scheme fit. I mean, everybody saw. I mean, we all saw the video of Maxwell Harrison in the green room dapping everybody up that got picked. I mean, seems like a swell guy you want to draft as well. Big on that kind of thing. I mean, is there stuff to work on? Yeah, but I don't know, man. He's one of those guys where some guys are like, there's stuff to work on, and man, it's going to be hard for you to work on him. Hairston, all this stuff is stuff that I think that you will figure out because you've got the basics. He's got great athleticism, great ball skills, and really, really nice zone IQ that you can improve. You can still even improve on, but is already in a good spot. So, yeah, there's a lot to work on in man and in press man just because he's a smaller guy, but in off zone, he'll probably live there year one, and he will be a difference maker. If you can teach him how to do that, he can be top 20 corner in football. Easy.
These are two separate questions. Does he immediately project as their second cornerback?
Yes.
And is Kyer Elam still on the team?
Yes, immediately, yes. He's their second best cornerback. Day one. I mean, who else is even there? I mean, yeah, he's already starting over. Is Kyer Elam on the team still? That's a good question.
I assume that they just jettisoned him after that
He's
AFC Championship loss.
Yeah, he's not on the roster.
Where did he go? Let's do a scavenger hunt.
I don't know. Well, he's not the second best corner because I'm a big Taron Johnson fan.
Did they add Taron Johnson? Oh, they've had Taron Johnson.
Yeah.
What am I talking
Their
about?
nickel. They drafted and another. Bills know how to draft. Christian Benford in the 6th round, Taron Johnson in the 4th round. Damar Hamlin in the 6th round. People forget before everything happened, Damar Hamlin was looking real good in his rookie year.
He was kind of back to it this year as well.
I mean, he played well. And also got one of my favorite picks of the draft in Dorian Strong. In the 6th round as well.
Forgot that Elam's a Cowboy. They just added all the busts. Go on.
So, man, Bills know how to draft defensive backs, yet they know how to draft him on day 3, but they suck at drafting him on day 1. I'm very worried about Maxwell Hairston now, actually.
We're sorry, Maxwell. Oh, by the way.
You suck.
I've heard people drawing this comparison, and we are not – this is going to come as a shock to a lot of people. We are not NFL insiders. We are not doing all these interviews. Hairston does have sexual assault allegations, but it's one from high school that legitimately – I'm not saying it's untrue because we just don't know that, but it has not been substantiated in any way, unlike Mike Green, which is a whole different ballpark. He's probably guilty, not beyond a reasonable doubt. We'll get to that at some point. TJ Sanders at number 41. So that's why I think those are different and should not be compared apples to apples.
I didn't know about that, but yeah, that's one of those where it's just like you have to have something that you have to have it backed up somehow.
Yep.
So like we're not going to talk about that where stuff it's like we don't know either way, so we're not gonna speak on it because that's not our place. So, yeah, TJ Sanders, abysmal pick, just truly awful. It's not an F, but TJ Sanders. I don't like talking about the not my guys as much, but TJ Sanders was probably my biggest not my guy of the class. Not my biggest, but one. He was up there. Did not think that he should get drafted this high. Trading up to pick him. To get the right of picking him at 41 when Alfred Collins was still there. This is going to be an anti-ring the bell for me. Just because they passed up on my favorite interior defensive lineman to pick my least favorite interior defensive lineman. So that's the ultimate anti-ring the bell. But I don't know. What did you think of this pick?
Bad. You drafted a guy who can be Ed Oliver.
Yeah,
when
that's
you have
at
Ed
best.
Oliver.
At best, he'll be Ed Oliver.
And you have several pseudo Ed Olivers already rotating in and out of the defensive line. You drafted a player you already have several of, and you moved up to get him, and you passed up on better scheme fits and better available overall players to get him.
And you also took big Ed Oliver in the 4th round.
Oh, man. We're going to get... Why don't we just jump to Deion Walker? Because I actually think this is very okay valuation of him.
Pick.
What do you make of him? He's a weird-ass player.
It's hard to tell because, man, if you just watch the highlights, he's a first-round pick.
His pad level is like in the sun.
Him and Will Campbell need to get together and create a band or something. Like, they need to figure out something. They need to go out for ice cream and just talk about how they love to touch the sun. Yeah. Something like that. But, yeah, he plays very high. But you watch the highlights, he's a great football player. You watch the lowlights, he's a useless piece of shit.
You watch everything in between.
You have no fucking clue what he is. And I could say that. I gave him a 4th-round grade, and I have no idea if he deserved an undrafted grade or a 2nd-round grade. I just gave him a 4th-round grade because it was in the middle. So I was like, I don't know, man. He looks like just a fantastic player sometimes, but then other times he looks like he's no idea what he's doing. I don't know if he's going to work out. I don't think he will, but he could. I think what you're looking really at is if he does work out, you're looking at a guy who is going to start for you and go through stretches of just insanity where he looks like the top 10 lineman in the league, and then goes through cold stretches where he's just kind of not what he's trying really isn't working. And it's all going to depend on who he's playing, what scheme he's doing, how the offensive coordinator is trying to attack him. He's going to be a scheme-dependent guy. I trust McDermott to a certain extent. I don't know if I have enough trust in him that he's going to be able to figure out what to do with Deion Walker. I like this pick better than TJ Sanders, though, and I gave it a B- because you can't not like the highlight. I give it a C+. You can't not like the highlights of Deion Walker.
He was also playing hurt, which may have impacted some of the high-end foot speed. I saw some really nice bend, and I thought he flashed the ability to sort of transition off of pass rush moves. Missed some bad tackles as well. It's just, man, a very up and down sort of player. He is young. Maybe that roller coaster ride gets smoothed out a little bit. And then completing the defensive line sandwich from picks 41 to 109 is Landon Jackson, who's a very different kind of player. You pair him with Greg Rousseau. I think those are your 2 early down starters. And even though you didn't really fill in the interior with functional run stoppers, it's going to be tough to run to the perimeter against this group. Keeps Joey Bosa off the field on early downs, keeps him healthy, lets him pin his ears back. And Landon Jackson could still become like a 3-down starter for you. You need to see a lot of growth. He does a lot of pass rush moves. They do a lot of not getting to the quarterback.
They do a lot of nothing.
A lot of time. But the thing is, he did get better from 2022 to 23 to 24. He's trending in the right direction. He even had like a really up and down Senior Bowl where he started off awful and then he was spotted on like every day working overtime after practice, just scrimmaging any guy could get his hands on, making them both better, and then he steadily improved and had a great performance in the game. It's like, if that's not Landon Jackson, I don't know what is. This is a rock-solid 3rd-round pick and a guy who's going to play a role at worst, starter at best. I think that's like a B+.
He could be a really nice starter for you in a 4-3 like Buffalo runs. Like you said, I mean, and you get that long arm and that bull rush to be consistent, and you also create the threat with good bend and good solid explosiveness. You get some of those testing numbers on the field more. Figure out how to tap into that. Threaten the edge while also threaten just running through your chest. That's enough to be a really nice starter in the league when you consider his size and his physical attributes. You don't need this whole massive range of moves. Sometimes that hurts. So you just need a couple of really nice threats that are seriously going to make the offensive lineman think twice before they do something. And Jackson has those. So if you can brush up the technique, this is the kind of guy who's going to be a starter for you. Good pick.
Oh, I remembered something.
Yeah.
So for the Cowboys' undrafted free agency, they added Tyler Neville, who is a tight end out of Virginia. And the only reason I know who he is because he's a pretty awesome story. He battled cancer during, I think it was his senior year of high school, and it impacted his recruiting. So he played at Yale because,
Yeah.
just a smart guy. He's going to go out to Yale, and he was dominant there. And then he goes to Virginia, which, another high character sort of school is their reputation, and has a great season. Probably doesn't have the combination of athleticism and pure blocking strength because, he'll work his ass off, and his technique as a blocker is very good. And I don't know if you can move this segment to the Cowboys, or this is just going to be interspersed in the middle of the show. But an easy guy to root for, and I really want to see him make the roster as a Tyler. And the reason that came into my mind is because you said Landon Jackson, and I'm already looking down the board to Jackson Hawes, which is my favorite pick of day 3 because you pair him with Dalton Kincaid.
Whew.
Just get Dawson Knox the fuck off this team and let Jackson Hawes block his ass off for you. He's going to catch 5 passes a year, but he's going to sit a lot of guys down every single game.
Yeah, and he was my guy that was not the best tight end in the class, Tyler Warren. When I didn't cop out and do Tyler Warren, he was my guy in the class.
Oh, we're going to have an anti-ring the bell for the Bears, aren't we?
We'll talk about the Bears. That's a really
We'll
weird
save
pick.
that.
It was one of the hardest picks to grade. I took the most time on it, I think, of any pick. I came away with high on it, but Hawes, he's, like you said, going to catch 5 passes a year, but man, you're not getting by him. And in Buffalo, where they love to run with the 6th lineman more than anybody in the league, they did 20% of all running plays last year. He can just be the 6th lineman when you're running 12 or 11 personnel. And so you can have him as the 7th lineman if you want.
Let's go.
Run 6th line with Jackson Hawes blocking. Who's stopping that? You're not doing it. That's a big part of their success. So this is a great, like you said, maybe the best pick on day 3. Not the best pick in their class, though.
Dorian Strong.
Dorian Strong.
That's fantastic.
Love him, man. Is he good at anything? No. Is he bad at anything? No. Will he start in the league as a cornerback 3? Yes. That's all you need. He's not going to be really good at anything. He is good at everything. He's slightly above average at anything, below average at nothing. Just a good player. He's a good football player who will be a cornerback 3 on the outside one day. Maybe for Buffalo, maybe not. And in Buffalo, Benford, Hairston, Johnson, throw in Dorian Strong and the dime, you're not throwing on that. You're not. So they overhauled that secondary in something that, man, I was concerned with last year in the AFC Championship to something that you're just, if the picks work out like I think they will, this is a really dangerous secondary.
That's a fantastic 4. What do you think about Jordan Hancock at pick 170?
Why? Why would you, first of all, why would you take him over Dorian Strong if you like Dorian Strong? And then second of all, why would you take him? First of all, why would you take him in the 5th round at all? I don't get it. Didn't seem like a guy that was really ever going to be an impact, just like a depth piece at corner, which is fine. If you want to take that in the 7th, sure, but I didn't really get it at 170.
So I didn't actually watch him. I just saw Ohio State and Jordan Hancock popped for not being especially good, more so than anything, and sort of that soft slot role. Yeah, choosing him over Dorian Strong was a choice, but it doesn't come back to bite him because they still wind up with Dorian Strong.
So it's like, yeah, you can't hate it that much, but the process is, yeah, he was my lowest rated corner that I watched. So the process is baffling, but it worked out. Yeah, I mean, if you want to just bring him in on run defense downs, I get it because Hairston's a little bit small. So I guess have him as and he can play press man and Hairston can't. So
do you think Hancock can play on that perimeter?
Not really.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, Hairston's going to play perimeter. So I don't know. He's probably a better press. Hairston might be a better press man corner than him on the perimeter year 1. So Hancock is just a backup to Taron Johnson, which is fine.
That's a player you can draft. That's not awful.
Worth a draft, and I had him as a priority UDFA. Bear didn't quite get a draftable grade, but still fine. But in the 5th round, I'm like, why would you pass on Dorian Strong for him? I just didn't get it.
Any thoughts on Lunt or Prather?
I liked Lunt. I didn't get to Prather, but I watched him a little bit when I watched Ty Felton.
I'm surprised Prather got drafted. I watched him over the summer, and he didn't take a step up. I'm not shocked he got drafted. There are traits to work with. He's a good size-adjusted athlete.
Yeah, where's Chase Lunt? I mean, I had him as true 5. He's kind of weird, though, because he's 6'8", but he's probably going to play guard due to 32 and 3/4 inch arms and 304 pounds. But, I mean, solid technician, played a lot at UConn. Not the strongest guy of all time, not the best athlete of. I mean, he's a pretty good athlete actually. Smart guy, good technique, solid athleticism, but I just don't know. He's got to figure out what weight he wants to play at, and if he's going to play in the interior, how he's going to play in the interior. Another one of those guys where he just doesn't really have a position, doesn't really have a fit. If somebody figures that out, then they might even get a starter. So I don't hate it. For Buffalo, it's kind of weird, but I don't hate it.
Good linemen tend to find a way.
Yeah.
What grade did you give the Bills draft class?
I gave this a B overall because, man, some of my favorite picks with the T.J. Sanders pick was baffling in the second, especially trading up. It just didn't make much sense. So, and the other picks weren't so good that I overcame that to give it an A-. One bad pick, you can still get an A- with one bad pick. You'll see I have an A grade where there was one pick that was just horrendous, but the rest of them were fantastic, so I gave it an A. Would have given it an A+ otherwise. This is a B. Just a lot of good picks with one really, really, really bad pick and a couple of so-sos.
This is another class that emphasizes the money is made on day 1 and 2 rule. I like Hairston. I didn't think Hairston was fantastic value to the Bills because, man, I'm really hung up on them not having a space-eating defensive tackle after all this. Like, I thought that was their biggest need, and they didn't really address wide receiver at all. Triple dipping on defensive line with your picks 2 through 4 and coming over with TJ Sanders, who not a good pick is all I'm going to say about that. And then Landon Jackson, where I think that's where Landon Jackson should go. I gave him a B-. I think it's a solid draft, but not maximizing value to me.
Yeah, a lot of, like, even the picks that we liked early on, Hairston, that's where he should go, and it's a good scheme fit. Landon Jackson, that's where he should go, and that's a good scheme fit. So you're not going to get absolutely. I like the picks, but I'm not going to they're not A+. Hairston was a B+. Jackson was a B for me. So overall B. Yeah, B- for you. Could have been worse. You got better.
Now it's time for a team that bucked its draft stereotype. We'll say the Miami Dolphins, who go Kenneth Grant at 13. What a curveball,
man!
I thought it was takey that I didn't have him going offensive interior or just any best available offensive lineman with that 13th pick, and I had him going secondary instead, and it's just all right, Kenneth Grant at 13. Then Jonas Savainea at 37, Jordan Phillips, Jason Marshall, and Dante Trader in the 5th, Ollie Gordon in the 6th, and Quinn Ewers and Zeke Biggers in the 7th. Give me your thoughts on taking Kenneth Grant inside the top half of the first round.
Well, I was one of the bigger Kenneth Grant supporters this cycle, as we know. He was my number 2 interior defensive lineman, graded out. And I really like this for the Dolphins because I did not give him a true one. I shied away. He was my number 21 player on the board. So this was about 8 spots higher than I would have taken him, and it's similar to the Savainea pick where you got a really good player who I liked quite a bit. You probably took him 8 to 15 picks higher than I would have, but you still got a really good player who fits well. Kenneth Grant, Calais Campbell's gone now. He was never a long-term option. Kenneth Grant come in, he could fill that hole left by Christian Wilkins last year, going to the Raiders, and just be that elite run-stopping interior guy that you can rely on. And I like Anthony Weaver a lot, especially when it comes to developing defensive linemen. He's done such a great job with Chop Robinson. Zach Sealer took a lot of strides under his tutorage. Sure.
That's an excellent word.
Tutelage. Under his tutelage. They've really developed, and Jalen Phillips, it was before Weaver's tenure there, but Weaver knows how to develop guys. Miami knows how to develop guys on the interior as pass rushers. This is a good spot for Grant, good fit. And I like that they're willing to go outside their comfort zone to get a really good player. Kenneth Grant's a good football player. This is a good pick.
And this is their guy as far as a run-stuffing defensive tackle.
Yeah.
Because he's not just a run-stuffing defensive tackle. Don't get me wrong, maybe in year 1, but if he adds a more consistent bull rush to his repertoire and continues to sort of clean up the hand usage and especially the hand-foot pairing, this is a guy who's young. He could absolutely develop into a Vita Vea type of pass rusher. You don't like to just give out those archetypal pro comps athletic run-stopping defensive tackle who also gets after the QB. That could be Kenneth Grant, and he would absolutely return value with this pick. Yeah. Fills a big need for them replenishing that defensive line, and most importantly, this sends a message about the direction that Miami wants to go, and they continue with that message, moving up. Do you know what they gave up to move up in the second, get Jonas Savainea?
Quite a bit, because they didn't pick again until the 5th round.
Should we look that up? I feel like I should know that.
Because they move it up from, I believe it was 56 to get Savaianea.
What do you think of the pick? Because I personally like it a lot. I understand why they pulled the trigger.
Yeah, no, I love Savaianea as a player. He's just like, man, was he my number? No, surely he wasn't. No, he was my number 5 interior offensive lineman, but it was really close. Him, Ratledge, and Donovan Jackson were all in the same tier for me. So he's a really good football player, and I think he's going to start for you for a long time. I don't know if 37's the best value, but again, like I said, they picked him a little bit earlier than the value would suggest, but I'm willing to forgive that when you picked a really good football player who fits well in the system. This is a guy that probably should go in a more zone-heavy system. He can do anything, but I'd prefer him in a move blocking system, who is just a great technician, a great leader, knows what he's looking at. He's just a polished football player who you don't plug and play year one. You don't have to have concerns about developing him, even though you should develop him, obviously. You don't have to have concerns that he's not going to work out. I like him a lot. Maybe it's not the best value. I gave both of these picks B pluses just because got a great football player who fits the scheme, fits the idea what you're trying to go for. To give up quite a bit to get him. So, yeah, good pick.
And the thing is, he's not like Jared Wilson, because you mentioned how he should probably play in a zone-oriented offense. He can move people. In fact, I think that he moves people pretty well. I think the one scenario where I'm, like, unless there's a player who's a really good value falling down the board, where I'm okay with you sort of making that luxury trade up, is to get a guy who gives you something extra on top of what you already want. And the Dolphins have to walk a very fine line with their scheme. There just aren't a lot of linemen that can both execute the level of wide zone that they run and still be displacers on inside run concepts. Yeah. This is exactly what the Dolphins need to do to make themselves more competitive deeper into the year. It's a luxury. They paid a premium, but I think that they went about it in the right way.
And he's so smart at the second level. And you're not even drafting him to play run defense because he's such a great pass protector. That's what you're drafting him to do. It's just a plus that he can be a really nice wide zone run blocker.
5th round. Jordan Phillips.
Nice
it just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
We talked about how Kenneth Grant was like the perfect Dolphins defensive tackle because he can stuff the run, but he might also be able to get after the quarterback at some point. Jordan Phillips is never going to be able to get after the quarterback, but he can stuff the run. Why not add another one of these guys into the room?
Yeah, and he can play alongside Kenneth Grant. He's not like a nose tackle to stop the run. He's your 3 tech. He's a built guy who he's 312, but he looks like he's 325. I mean, this guy's jacked as hell.
312?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. It's shocking, but he's just dense, and he's a solid athlete. Like, he is a solid athlete.
He's a fucking rectangle.
Yeah. I mean, there is a lot there. I mean, which makes him such a great run defender. I mean, he is nasty. He fits that Kenneth Grant mold of, I'm just going to hit you, and you're going to move, and I'm going to tackle the run. I'm going to tackle the runner. He sheds well, not at the right time. If you can improve that, he can be a really nice run defender. The pass rushing, technically he has the traits to be a fine pass rusher, and if you can develop it just doesn't seem like there's much feel, but if you can develop it, he could be a really nice starter. I don't think you will. And he's got really short arms as well, which does not help. He can be a gap-filling defensive tackle, 3 tech to fill the run and just play good rotational downs. Again, good process from the Dolphins.
And then kind of a head-scratching pick, because I really thought that they were going to address secondary a lot earlier in this one. And when you look at their depth chart, that just makes sense. When you look at their information trail, it seemed to be what they're implying. Their first secondary pick is Jason Marshall Jr., the cornerback out of Florida, at pick number 150 in the 5th round. Did you see any of him?
A little. Nothing that would have suggested he was going to go in the 5th round, though.
He's a solid athlete, and I like the physicality he plays with. I think he can do some nice stuff working man-to-man. The zone instincts are hit or miss, which isn't great because he is an older prospect. And I believe he has like a pretty extensive injury history as well. I do think that this is a reach. I was kind of suspecting he was going to go earlier based on the amount of teams bringing him in for visits, and he does have all the traits to develop into a starting cornerback, but we're not even that late into the 5th round here. That's a little bit early. Don't love that. What do you think of Dante Trader 5 picks later?
I never got to him. We talked about him when we were watching the draft, and I was like, yeah, I think he was the first player that I had not really seen anything. Well, I not the first player I hadn't seen anything of, but the first player I really didn't have a clue who he was as far as a player.
We are going to dive into his scouting report, and by that I mean his PFF stats, because I didn't watch him either, although I did hear good things about his smoothness on the back end. I'm going to take a wild guess and say his missed tackle rate is going to be above 19. Give me an over-under.
Let's say over. Missed tackle rate
is...
It's easy to get.
Oh, okay. 4.8 in 2024, but 18.3 in 2023.
Big jump.
And 15.8 in 2022. That's
he figured it out.
I guess he did. And he
There you
also
go.
gave up 70% of his receptions
That's not
and
great.
doesn't really produce on ball.
That's not good.
But, yeah, they took a defensive back out of Maryland who's, Trader's a good name for a safety. Like that's cool. That's a jersey I want to wear.
That's sick.
A player we do know more about, Ollie Gordon.
Yeah.
I really like this fit.
I do too.
I like this pick a lot, actually. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, you don't think he's a gap running back. So to be clear, when we talk about schemes and Miami Dolphins are one of the most outside zone heavy schemes in the league, that does not mean that they never run gap schemes. They run power. You have to run power sometimes. You got to run lead, ISO. You got to jam the running back up the middle, even if it is on less percentage. I think the Dolphins run 70% zone and more outside zone than that. They run 50, 60% of their runs are outside zone, and that's high end. So that means 40% of their runs are still on the inside, or 35% of their runs are still on the inside. You got to have somebody for that. Give those carries to Ollie Gordon. He's going to be really good. 2024 tape sucked, but my argument for why you should burn this tape in 2024 is that when you have a quarterback that is less than useless, linemen who have quit and are just ready to accept jobs as accountants next year, receivers who really don't care, it makes sense that everybody and their mother's just going to be looking at Ollie Gordon. And when you are being tackled behind the line of scrimmage 2 yards prior to even getting close to gaining a yard, it's tough to continue to play. It's tough to break a tackle behind the line of scrimmage every time, and I think he got discouraged, which is fair. He wasn't productive. He didn't look great. It's hard to look great when everything is going against you. When things were going right in 2023, he looked fantastic. Looked like a kind of a guy you take in day 2, 3rd round, is a bruising player who has some athletic traits, and I think that's what he'll be for the Dolphins. This is a nice pick.
Here's my question. Why can't he be an outside zone running back?
He's just not fast enough.
Do you think he's not fast enough, or do you think he doesn't accelerate quickly enough?
He's not fast enough. Both, but he's not fast
Some
enough.
of his breakaway runs in 2023 I saw showed some pretty nice top speed. And here's my thought process. He doesn't work laterally very well whatsoever. However, if you can block things up nicely on the perimeter, you can draw up, say, a misdirection play for him, and you can get him on one track working outside, and then if any defensive back gets in his way, he just runs them over, and then he taps into that upper gear, which he gets back once he gets into an actual pro offense. I could see him having outside zone applications as well as just being their inside bruiser as well.
See, what I liked most about his linear athleticism was not his acceleration or his speed, but it was his short area burst. I think that first 2 steps, he can cover some ground with them. And he's really, what I loved most about his 2023 tape was obviously, the contact balance, the power, the bruising. We talked about that a lot. He's also really decisive runner. This is not a guy who's going to hang behind the line of scrimmage longer than he has to. He can see the field real well. He's a smart guy. And for a sophomore, it was really impressive. And it's what caught my eyes in the first place. He can lower the shoulder, but he can also go to the outside and find the right lane. So, yeah, it's cool to have a guy who's fast, but if they can't find the right lane, they're useless. Ollie Gordon, maybe he's not as fast. Maybe he's not fast enough to run too far in that system to make the most out of it, but he'll find what's there. And he's good enough to do it, I think. And it's not like his long speed is 4.7, and I think it's better than 4.61 by a little. I think it is. So
he tested badly. The whole pre-draft process for him was just poor.
Plus, underrated part about this pick, a big reason why I think they picked him, when you've got a backfield full of 5'9", 190 guys, you need somebody who can pass protect, and Ollie Gordon's really good at that.
He is one of the top 3 angriest pass protectors in this class. It's Henderson, in terms of just sheer rage that he brings to pass protection, Scadaboo,
Yeah.
and then Ollie Gordon, I would say.
And he's a solid receiver as well. Like
He's not bad.
He just didn't drop passes. So there's a lot to like about Gordon. Burn the 2023 tape, and you got a good player.
And then their 7th round picks. Quinn Ewers falls to the 7th round.
Yeah.
What is your, you want to share with the audience what your, is for?
Oh, no, I tried to ring the bell.
That was a ring? What are
Yeah.
you ringing for? You had him going number 1 overall during the season.
This is true. I did. Well, we're going to do, we'll anti-ring the bell for that. Yeah. This is why we won't do bold prediction shows anymore.
For the record, you almost got him on the exact bookend.
There we
of
go.
Number 1 overall.
Almost the last quarterback taken.
Monkey's paw curls.
That was my argument. He got picked at 231. That was what I was saying.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
That's what I was saying. Was he the first? He was not the first quarterback pick in the 7th round either. So,
Who was?
It was the North Dakota State guy.
Oh,
the
Cam
Raiders.
Miller.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think he was the first one. But yeah, I mean, sure, why not? Right? Like 7th round, who cares? Give it a shot.
He always looks like he's just not a quarterback to me. It like sticks out to me watching Quinn Ewers play. You have like
talking about even a quarterback. Like who knows?
You've got like your Derek Carr type of not a real quarterbacks, it's all system, and then you've got Quinn Ewers, which is like I swear I literally see the strings of the system operating him and making him throw the ball. Look, there's a reason he was such a good recruit. I do think that he has arm talent. I think he has absolutely egregious lower body and overall arm torque mechanics to get the most out of it. That's the reason that his zip is so poor, but he can throw a really pretty deep ball. There is a world where you can coach him up into a functional quarterback, and a guy with that kind of upside who's like, generally a scheme fit as far as the RPO stuff that Miami wants to do. That's a perfectly fine 7th round pick. That's a good 7th round pick.
Yeah.
Do you see any of Zeke Biggers?
I did not, unfortunately.
Neither did I. I think I remember a little bit of him because we had this conversation because his name is Biggers and he's a defensive lineman and he is actually very big and you assumed he was big based on the name Biggers and
Yeah.
I had some memory that he was like more of a penetrating sort of player. And what's correct because I went back and like watched the one game of him that Caddy's Cut-Ups has. He's actually really big and a penetrator.
Oh.
The problem is he just doesn't have any technique whatsoever. This is actually a pretty good pick.
All right.
I mean, I think, a guy with traits in the 7th round, get the pad level down, work on the hands.
There you go.
Might have something there. What did you give the Dolphins draft?
I give it a B. I'm thinking about a B+ right now, but somewhere in let's just say I gave it a B because some luxury picks early on, some picks a little bit higher than you would have thought, but you got good football players, so you can't fault it.
Good football players. They made a point. I give it a B as well.
All right, Jets, right? Or is it the Patriots?
Jets. I wanted to end on a high note, Victor, so
Okay.
I couldn't have the Jets last. Armand Membu at 7, Mason Taylor at 42, Azarie Thomas at 73, Arian Smith at 110, Malachi Moore at 130, Francisco Mauigoa at 162, and Tyler Barron at 176. Let's start it off with Membu.
Why don't we start off with Francis Mauigoa?
Let's talk about Francisco Mauigoa.
That's why we're ringing the bell.
He was a pretty big my guy in this year's draft. Ton of fun to watch. Excellent athlete. Moves better than any day 3 to priority UDFA linebacker at his size because he's got true Mike linebacker size and he confronts blocks. Ever should. The one big problem is that he can't tackle at all. And I actually come away feeling like this was too high to draft Mauigoa.
I did too.
But I get it. He's going to be a culture fit for you because he's just going to bust his ass on special teams. I think he's going to be fantastic in that department. Get him in the linebacker pipeline. He's not going to be playing year 1. The zone instincts need to come along, but it's instincts. That's the phase he's at right now. It's not like he's better than Jalen Walker's off-ball linebacker tape, I thought. Now, he's also several years older than that, but there's a world where his combination of coverage and ability to thump and side-to-side range does produce a starting linebacker. So I like the Francisco Mauigoa pick. Also just another guy that passes the name test. Now we'll talk about Armand Membu. And I feel like I struggled to really grade this one because it was such a common mock draft destination. And in my final mock, I had Armand Membu going at 7. To another team that was not the Jets, I believe, because my final mock draft was really, really stupid.
Didn't matter.
And it kind of makes me forget how much I don't like this pick and how much of an overdraft I think it is.
Yeah. It's tough when there's something that's so common knowledge for the entire time that you're like, yeah, well, okay, it's happening. And then you just forget that it's a bad pick. But it's a bad pick.
I see the vision for it because they're paying Chukwuesekor for like $1.5 million a year. Like, seriously, their starting right tackle is making like no money, and that's a pretty strong indication that, yeah, they're gonna plug Membu in at his natural position. And I was trying to sell myself on this, like, surely he's gonna be better than Okorafor in year 1, right? And no, I don't think he is. I think he's going to be terrible in year 1. I don't think that. Well, okay. I think he'll be able to pass protect pretty solid on a down-to-down basis, but I think he is going to get lost on stunts. I think he'll have some ugly speed-to-power losses because he's so prone to catching guys. Even though he's big, I think his sort of anchor is kind of untested, unchallenged. Didn't have to work on that technique in college. And I think he has absolutely no idea what he's doing as a run blocker. I think he's going to be a bottom 5 starting tackle in the NFL in year 1. That being said, maybe I misevaluated him, and undoubtedly very high upside.
Yeah, absolutely. Very high upside. It seems like everybody agreed that he was a great technical pass protector. Well, I don't think either of us saw that. So maybe we're missing something, but we're gonna trust our eyes and say, yeah, there's still a lot of work to do to make him even a starter. Nevertheless, what his ceiling could be, and worth the number 7 overall pick. So we've known about it for a while. It's still just something that it didn't surprise me, but I was like, yeah, I don't like it.
What do you give this pick?
A D+.
Okay, I actually went with a C+ because I think I factored in some of the odds that I am not as smart as NFL GMs are.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that.
I agree. But I'm giving this based off of what I see. I mean, I'm not
Fair
as smart
point.
as NFL GMs for all of this, so none of these grades are super valid or anything. But they're based on my stuff, so they shouldn't be treated as gospel. All of the things that we say should come with the asterisk that we are not NFL GMs in scouts for a reason. Yeah, we will be eventually, but
we're 19.
Right now,
give us time. You 19?
18.
Okay. When's your birthday?
June.
Happy. About a month to your birthday.
There you go. Yeah.
About a month and a half. All right.
Yeah. Month.
Mason Taylor at 42.
Yeah. Younger guy, just like me. Love it. But
he's 18 years old.
He's 18
he's
years
Braylon
old.
Allen out there.
He got drafted. He's the same age as Ryan Williams. He's going to the NFL. He went to college at 15. Any of y'all ever seen Real Genius? He's that kid, except he's 250 pounds and can play football.
Let's go.
There you go.
Should have drafted him earlier.
Exactly.
That being said, did they draft him too early?
A little, yeah. But when you consider the fact that Terrence Ferguson went 4 picks later, it made me lighten up a bit on this pick. He did not make my top 50. Actually, he did. He did. No, he didn't. I forget.
So only 2 tight ends in your top 50. Then.
No,
So if
he
his number is lower than 50, that means he's in the top 50. If it's higher, that means he missed it.
He was 51. I just couldn't remember. He was 51. He was the guy I had to leave out, but he was drafted at 42 at a position of need and a team that I think will use him relatively well. Obviously got the NFL bloodline, son of Jason Taylor, Miami Dolphins, All-Pro, Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I believe so.
Edge. So he's a really great receiver, just all around.
I think he's ahead of the curve there as a blocker. Yeah. He's got to both add weight and dramatically clean up the technique. I also think he's got to work on the willingness as well. So he's not going to help out with the run game, but I do like that. You're not waiting to get him on the field. He is going to be their day one starter. He's going to aid that receiving game. He's not like the complement to Garrett Wilson that you want after Devontae Adams gone, but beggars can't be choosers. So.
He could be if you polish up that route running. He really could be top 5'7" receiving tight end in football if you can get that going, because he just doesn't drop the football and he attacks the ball at the catch point. And he has the athleticism and the flashes to make me believe, yeah, you can be an elite route runner, but doesn't play with much tempo, which is necessary. Not even like you want it. It is necessary as a tight end to know how to play with tempo very well. All of the greats do it. That's how Travis Kelce made his money, is being able to play with tempo and knowledge of the zones, and he needs to improve that a lot.
Next up, we have Azareye'h Thomas, who they nab at pick 73 in the third round. That's a bell ringer for him going low, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But my bell has stopped working, apparently.
I gotcha.
Thank you.
Yep. How did you ruin your bell in real time? It was working earlier.
I don't. Well, I'm probably just doing it wrong because I was able to get it. I figured it out. Yeah, we'll just ring the bell. He shouldn't have gone in the second round. Third round's good.
I think he's a perfect scheme fit for what the Jets want to do. There is a chance that his 4.6's speed, which does unfortunately show on tape, just doesn't really play because, man, it just kills your margin for error. I think he's the most refined press corner in this class other than maybe Benjamin Morrison.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, Morrison better. More than Azareye'h Thomas, he got a higher press grade. But Thomas, it's like, to play press, you do need to meet some athletic standards, and I just don't know if he meets those NFL standards. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. It'll be something you know immediately. And at worst, you can throw him in there as a rotational off-zone kind of guy where it's just like, yeah, just play in a zone. You're a smart guy. You got good ball skills. Just see what you can do. Try not to get beat over the top. But he's not the most developed in that area, which is why he would have gone a lot lower if NFL teams were like, yes, you cannot play press. If he runs if he runs a tenth of a second slower, he's probably a 6th round pick.
If he runs a 4.71, he
so,
might not get drafted.
Yeah, he might not get drafted. So it's like maybe even if he runs a 20th of a second lower, in real game speed, he's barely on that cutoff line right now. And teams, I think teams don't know which side of it he's on. So we'll just have to see. Jets took a risk. However, this was the highest graded pick of this class for me with a B.
Oh, of the Jets draft class?
Yes, of the entire class. Mason Taylor got a B-.
I like the Azareye'h Thomas pick because I think he maximizes that athleticism. I like his hips. I think they're very fluid. I think that he is very physical in man coverage and just one of the best cornerbacks, not just in press, but in trail in the class. It's all downhill from here because they took Arian Smith at pick 110. What the fuck?
I don't know.
Wow.
What? I don't get it at all.
I mean, what 40 time did he run?
4.37 or something? That's the first thing I looked
4.36. Come on. Yeah. Is there not like a guy who runs 4.3?
Have we no shame?
There's like a guy out of Penn State who runs like a 4.34 and can't play football. Take him as a priority UDFA.
Jalen Lane runs a 4.37 and was still there. Take him.
And Jalen Lane is a wide receiver who has football skills.
He knows how to play football. Arian Smith, on the other hand,
I don't know if Arian Smith has seen a football before.
Yeah, it's tough.
Like I'm only half kidding about that. Like, get the eyesight checked out because that can like kill guys. That's sort of an underrated take I have, is that more players who struggle with coordination should get their eyes checked. Like, I would even notice that during baseball games sometimes. Like, you're in the outfield for a long time and your eyes start to cloud over and you're tuning it out a little bit and trying to stay focused and you're trying to pick up the ball in the hitting zone and shit, I don't know where it's at. Now I can't find it and you're picking it up late. I think every athlete should work very hard to have the best eyes, not in a mental sense, in a physical sense possible. So, Arian Smith, if you're listening, I've never met you, buddy. Get glasses.
That's insane. Yeah, no, not much to say about this pick. It's just a massive reach.
He should have gotten drafted for the speed alone because it does change the way defenses play you. To clarify what that means, when people say that, it's when there's a speed threat present on the field, it alters the way that zone coverage is played in a lot of ways, so you can impact defenses without actually even getting the ball or being much of a traditional threat to get the ball. Because if you do give up that over-the-top shot, I mean, it's the worst thing you can do in football. That's a one-play touchdown. But when you're at Arian Smith's level of development, it takes a lot of work to even garner that effect, because right now I don't think he's a functional player.
Yeah, and I mean, you even look at Troy Franklin last year. He wasn't the best player, but he's still a football player for the Broncos, and he changed how they guarded him. Marvin Mims was also on the field, so that obviously changed quite. That helped, but he was he'd still win over the top, but it doesn't matter if you're not a good football player because he would drop a lot of passes. So teams would sometimes just let him go over the top, and he would drop the pass. It's you gotta have the football skills to back up the athleticism, and Arian Smith isn't there yet. 6th or the 7th round, sure. Dart throw, you shouldn't be throwing darts in the top 150. Like, you shouldn't be throwing that in one of the first picks of the 4th round. Like, what? You shouldn't be throwing that. This is like throwing a dart at a bar board from outer space. Like, yeah, in the 7th round, sure, but man, it's probably not gonna hit. So, yeah.
If it does, it would be cool though.
It would be awesome if it hit. Theoretically, Tyreek Hill, right? But everything's theoretical on draft night, and then you go on the field, and it's not theoretical anymore. So,
can you guess his 2 drop rates over the last 2 seasons?
100%.
27.3 and 17.2, with 2 of 12 contested catch opportunities converted, 3 of 18 in the career.
God.
That is very much shooting at the bar board from outer space.
Yeah.
I love that comp.
If you're going to shoot at the bar board from outer space, do it like the Broncos did with Caleb Lawner in the back half of the 2nd round.
I love that
7th
pick.
round.
Second round, Caleb Lawner.
He had 10 targets in his entire college career. They probably watched more basketball tape than they did football tape for him, but it's the back end of the 7th round. I think of the 7th round like the airport. Anything you do, whatever. Who cares? Nothing exists anymore. Have a beer at 6 a.m. Cry. Who cares? It's the 7th round. Take a basketball player. Do whatever you want. So that's when picks like this should be made, not at 110.
My favorite part of the draft is that one spot in the 3rd round where it's like you transition from top 50 sort of players to teams just doing whatever the hell they feel like. I should say from like top 100 caliber players.
Actually,
to just drafting priority undrafted free agents.
That wasn't kicked off by the Niners. It normally is kicked off by the Niners in the 3rd round. This year it was kicked off by the Broncos. 74, they took Pat Bryant and then Nick Martin at 75. And then Upton Stout at 77 or 78. Man, the Niners still contributed to most of it. But, yeah, wow. It always happens. And then you don't see a top 50 player get picked till the 5th round when Braden Swinson went.
Okay, we'll get to that in a minute.
Yes, we will.
That has an asterisk by it.
It does.
Malachi Moore at 130.
Sure.
Yeah, that's fine.
C plus.
Veteran leader in the secondary. I liked his ability to quickly snap back space and zone coverage. Not really a playmaker.
He could be Chuck Clark.
He could be. I love that comp.
And
that's a really good comp.
They got Chuck Clark. They had him. I don't know if he's still on the roster, but yeah, 4th round is a little early. I think I had a 5 through 6 on him, but sure. Right? I'm never even complaining about getting a player who knows how to play football in your secondary. And yeah, Chuck Clark retired, but I mean, he used to play for the team. He'd come back, teach him how to play a little bit. What's wrong with it?
And then lastly, Tyler Barron, sort of the hybrid end. Any thoughts on that one?
He was he's kind of just a do-it-all kind of guy. You throw him wherever, and he'll just try. He'll be a good backup.
Really like niche comp. Kind of reminds me of like Austin Booker. If Austin Booker was 20 pounds heavier in terms of his wins are very smooth. I love some of his upper body movement as well. But, still has some athletic limitations.
That's a good comp. I liked Booker a decent amount, and I had a 6 through 7 on Barron, but that's a nice comp.
What did you give one of the worst drafts in the 2025 NFL draft, Victor?
I gave it a C. It was my 2nd lowest draft.
I give it a D+. I thought this was pretty
D+,
awful.
yeah.
I thought they kind of went out of their way to make bad picks here.
I liked all past Arian Smith, all of the day 3 picks. None of them were bad. None of them broke C+, but none of them went below a C. And Mason Taylor and Azaria Thomas were both good picks. It's marred by 2 tremendously terrible picks. So, yeah, C. And I give, like, that's the 2nd lowest grade I give. I'm kind of a not the best grade giver because I can get all the drafts for the most part. My lowest draft grade was a D though. We'll get to that team in a future episode.
It's the Broncos.
Yes, it's not the Broncos for spoiler alert purposes.
It's the Packers. The Packers post Matthew Golden.
It's the Pack. We'll see if somebody can guess it. One of our viewer can guess it.
Hi, viewer.
Hello.
The one viewer we have.
Hey, we're getting more viewers. I think every one of our last 5 episodes has gotten at least 3 views.
Oh my God, Victor, let's go.
There we
One's
go.
me, one's you, and one's the other viewer.
Exactly. Hello, viewer. We're moving up in the world.
Let's wrap things up with a rock-solid draft. The New England Patriots taking home Will Campbell, Travion Henderson, Kyle Williams, Jared Wilson, Craig Woodson. Wow, I am crushing this. Let's go. By the way, viewer, all that good ringing, that was all me. I don't know what he's doing over here, but he's still struggling. Craig Woodson, the my guy, underrated safety out of Cal. Josh Farmer, Braden Swinson, Andres Borregales.
Yes.
Number 1 kicker in the class. Marcus Bryant, Julian Ashby.
A lot of bell ringing.
My number 2 long snapper. What a deep cut. I don't even know if Brugler had him in the Beast. I'll have to go back and check on that.
He did. He tweeted he had everybody in the Beast this year.
Damn it. And Kobe Minor, who totally stumped me. Never heard of Kobe Minor before. Just a minor player. I can only assume. Don't know his game. Maybe he's really Kobe Major. He was Mr. Relevant, though, right?
Yeah, he was.
We'll see if he turns into Brock Purdy.
This
Potential
is
position change.
Ashby was one of those picks where I wish that we were streaming because that was a great moment when they picked him. We were running on fumes because it was like 7 picks until the draft was over, and we'd been watching it for 15 hours. But they picked Julian Ashby. Was like, that was worth it. This is why we watched the 7th round.
You know things are bad when a long snapper getting picked and you just like erupt from your seat or fist pumping.
Yeah.
Like, well, you've reached a bad place.
This pod is very degenerate because instead of talking about Armand Membu, we talked about Francis Muegawa, the first for the Jets. So we're clearly not going for all of the viewers. If you're a Jets fan and click on the Jets thumbnail on the Jets timestamp and you're expecting us to talk about Armand Membu first, yeah, I'm sorry.
All right, well, it feels only fair that we talk about Braden Swinson first then.
Yes.
Tell me about him.
Well, Swinson. Well, let's go with Campbell. Let's go linear this time. We got to give Patriots fans some. But Campbell, this was a pick we expected to happen, and it is a fine pick. I like Campbell quite a bit. As a tackle, he'll be average to slightly above average. As a guard, he could be really good. They'll play him at tackle. He'll be fine. I think he reminds me of Taylor Decker. I think that's his ceiling as a tackle. I gave it a B. It's there, but it's hard to give it an A. It is probably the best pick they could have made, sans trading back.
I agree.
But it's also like it's not a great pick in and of itself. It's a good pick, but it's not a great pick. So I can't give it higher. I don't think they could have gotten very high on this pick. It was just the best they could have gotten was a B, and they got it.
It's a poison pill because this is too early for T-Mac. You got to get help for Drake May here. Something like Jalen Walker would have been really pretty awful.
That would have been worse.
And they avoided that sort of trap. I do think Will Campbell is the best available option because, I mean, it's no secret. Nobody wanted to trade up to this spot. Just solid.
The Patriots were by far, they were more hurt by the Shedeur slide than Shedeur was himself. Like, Shedeur acting a fool in his interviews, that hurt the Patriots more than it hurt anybody.
Patriots get prank called. They prank call the GM. It's a team trading up.
They took Shedeur at 3. Yes! Oh my God! We get Abdul Carter. Belichick smiles. He's going crazy. His girlfriend doesn't know any of this because she's 23.
We're gonna release the Balls Talk Sports Bill Belichick relationship episode, right?
Yep, yeah, of course. That's classic summer content. We get through the draft grades, and then we get to the summer content.
Relationship updates once weekly.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Travion Henderson with the 6th pick. God, I'm awful at math. With the 6th pick in the 2nd round. What are your thoughts on that one?
I gave it a B-. Again, it was high, but man, I didn't love the pick at the time, but when I saw what they were doing down the board, I understood a little bit more. We both kind of had that realization that this is a team pivoting more towards zone and outside zone running with the Jared Wilson and to an extent the Kyle Williams pick. This is a team that wants to run with more flash. They want to use more speed, use Kyle Williams as a gadget, use Henderson on the outside. Jared Wilson is a move blocking dependent center. You don't draft him unless you're in a move blocking system. I think Vrabel's pivoting more to the move system rather than what he ran a lot of gap with Tennessee, obviously with Derrick Henry, but they don't have Derrick Henry anymore, so let's pivot. And I like the direction they're going. Henderson this is about the earliest I would have taken him, because he's a good player with good tape. Some of the injuries do scare me a little bit, but some stuff to work on with the vision and stuff. But he's a great athlete. He's a hard worker, consistent, uber productive at Ohio State. Great pass protector, like we mentioned. Great receiver. There's not much to dislike about Henderson here.
He's also fumbled fewer times in his entire life than Ramondre Stevenson fumbles per game. So
that's a factor.
Patriots fans will appreciate that. Kyle Williams in the 3rd round. Look,
good.
I'm not the biggest Kyle Williams guy, but if you're the Patriots and you're looking for a wide receiver that can just go out there and actually win for you on day one, really hard to beat this pick.
Yeah. It's nice. I mean, as I say, he can be a gadget at worst, but he's just a nice route runner with good athleticism. And you need receiver and you need route runners. So he's not the most physical guy, but yeah, he'll give it to you straight. He will kind of cook you sometimes. Kyle Williams, he's a fun player.
I'm going to give myself a mini bell ring since I picked him up early in the cycle.
There you go.
There we go. That's all he gets. Jared Wilson. You know what? Because he barely went on day 3. Barely went on day 2. And I think this is a good spot for Jared Wilson. We both agree on Jared Wilson's game.
Yeah.
If they want to run more zone, I think this makes sense. And besides, getting more bodies into that offensive line room, that needs to be a priority.
It cannot hurt. And plus, with the moves they made free agency for linemen, that signaled that they were going for more of a move blocking system. I don't remember who they brought in at the moment. Garrett Bradbury. You know, he's a guy... Man, him and Wilson are both move blocking kind of guys. Moses can, he's just to bring a veteran.
Not so much, but that's the best value that they could have added in free agency. Their hand was forced.
Competent. And they're going to start Cole Strange this year. He is definitely more of a move blocking guard. It feels like they've been waiting to implement this system.
I feel like that's all we need to cover for day 2. And then day 3, we didn't talk about Craig Woodson. We just did the bell ring for him. God damn it, this is too early for another one of my guys. So I can't give it a good grade, but I like seeing Craig Woodson, who's just a smart sort of do-it-all safety, punches above his weight class as a tackler, just knows how to wrap guys up, going to be a fantastic special teamer for you. Hey, in the 4th round, doesn't have to be a starter, just draft good football players, be a good third safety. I don't hate it. And Joshua Farmer, you get him into that room with Christian Barmore and Firm Falling.
Yeah, everybody seemed to have him going round 3 or day 2 or early round 5. This was about where he should have gone.
We rang a bell. Oh, no, we didn't ring bells on Campbell and Anderson. Okay, we have a long bell ring streak coming up.
Wilson, Woodson, Farmer, Swinson, Borgalis.
And I did a mini ring for Williams, and then of course
and Ashby.
Julian Ashby.
Yeah.
I like this fit for Joshua Farmer because who did the Patriots bring in? They did get Milton Williams, and the Panthers had to go out and overpay Tershawn Wharton. To make Joshua Farmer like your 3rd or 4th defensive tackle in a rotational role, that's really nice. He's just going to fill out that defensive line room for at least the duration of his rookie contract. That is a 4th-round pick well spent. And now, Braden Swinson.
Yeah, it's no secret. I loved Braden Swinson in this cycle. He was a fantastic player, and the more he fell, we were all like, when is he going to go? And then he went in the 5th round, and we're like, okay, clearly we're not this wrong on him. There are some issues off the field, and it does come out that he
cussed out all the coaches.
Yeah, seems like he's kind of a nuisance for coaches. Probably interviewed poorly too, so that explains why he went there. I gave this pick a steal just because the tape on the field. We weren't in the interview room; it's hard to tell. Tape on the field, even with that, Swinson could be a really, really good player for you, and I think he will be I think he's got starting floor or like at least rotational floor for you. So he's a really good player. If somebody had taken him in the 1st round, I wouldn't have thought that was a ridiculous. I would have given it a good grade. He was my 38th overall player.
Rare to get like a legit potential 3-down impact in year 1 in the 5th round. I mean that's just value that does not come around often. And
we'll see.
At that point, like he didn't kill anybody that we know of. I'm willing to take a little bit of a risk on the football character element.
I'm surprised he fell this far, even with that stuff. I really am. He fell as far as Shedeur did, and I had him 6 spots higher than Shedeur.
Shedeur stole all his thunder.
Yeah.
They literally never talked about Braden Swinson.
Which is weird because he did get picked higher than Shedeur as well.
Oh, did he?
Or I thought he did.
No, he would have been picked after Shadur because they were still talking about
He
Shadur
did.
when Swinson got
Yes.
picked, right?
Yeah, he got picked 2 picks
It's
after,
criminal.
which
It's
is
criminal.
insane. And Mac McWilliams, talked about him earlier, he get picked right after Shadur Sanders. So if you never heard that name, but you watched day 3 of the draft, that's why. We were pissed off at how much they talked. They were talking about him 10 picks after. Man, these guys worked their entire lives to be drafted, and a lot of them are watching the draft with their families. They deserve to be talked about on the air. So that's why we're talking about every player that got drafted with draft grades and the UDFAs, which we have forgotten about in the last couple of picks. But,
You would, oh my God.
but no.
You would think all 32 teams drafted Shadur Sanders instead of one of them
Yes.
after passing on him for 4 rounds.
Jesus. Who were the other? Did we?
Their other draft picks are Borregales, the kicker. You know, pretty bona fide best kicking prospect in this year's class. Sniper from long range, very competent leg, has range to hit 60-plus yard kicks. Just really solid. Marcus Bryant, I saw a little bit of watching Membu. Yeah, because Membu was right, and I was like, okay, who's this guy that I have starting over him at left tackle?
Who's the guy with better tape?
That's a little strong, and I know that you know that,
Yes,
but his
I know.
tape was pretty good.
It's not better at all.
I thought it was solid, though.
No, it's
I thought it
fine.
was solid
Draft-
enough for
I'd
me to
draft
add him
grade.
to my board without, like, seeing him take a visit with the team, for example. So he popped enough to me as a tackle for me to add him to the board. Then Ashby, they get their long snapper. You love that even though Belichick's out, this is still the New England Patriots.
We're gonna draft the long snapper.
And a kicker in the 6th round.
There you go.
You know, I think that filling out the specialist room with your draft picks is underrated, even if, like, it seems to work out less. Because I swear, it seems to work out less when you draft a kicker versus when you bring one in undrafted free agency. It's a 6th round pick. Go get a guy who actually plays and adds value for you.
We'll criticize in the 3rd round, but like 6th and late 7th, that's where you should be taking those guys if they're good enough.
And Kobe Minor, neither of us are
Never
familiar
heard
with.
of them. All right, let's go through some UDFAs of the teams that we forgot about. Miami, this is one of my favorite UDFA classes, if not my favorite, because they brought in Nate Noel, an absolute menace to society.
We've talked about Nate Noel.
Yeah, 5'8", 190, and he's like wants to kill you in pass pro. So,
He just wants to kill you at all times.
Yeah.
Like, he has the ball in his hands. It doesn't matter. He's going to try and run through your chest.
he's the running back equivalent of I didn't want the ball, I wanted him, except he has the ball, and he just he will throw the ball out of bounds and just fight the guy in front of him. He absolutely deserves to at least get an invite to training camp, even though he's not a great athlete and he's super
The
undersized.
ideal camp player.
Just to get everybody riled up. He'll be the guy that he'll bother the running backs that they drafted. Like, they drafted Ollie Gordon. He'll get Ollie Gordon revved up enough, like, okay, I got to beat him out if I want to make the team, because he's a 6th round pick. You're not going to make the team. He's going to bring the best out of him. They also brought in Andrew Armstrong. I had a 4 through 5 on him. He doesn't get drafted. Baffling.
I'm shocked that he fell to the UDFA pool. With some of the wide receivers that got drafted.
Yeah. Like, and it's not like this was a player that was, oh, you can see how he didn't get drafted. I'm just really surprised he didn't get drafted. He's a great player, and he will fill a nice little role for them as a sacrificial X. That's his ideal role, and he can do that on rotational downs and maybe even eventually become your number 3 kind of guy. So I like that a lot. You brought in Theo Weiss, who, right?
I had a UDFA grade on him, but a priority UDFA grade on him.
Jalen Conyers, I had a draftable grade on him
Out of Texas Tech, yeah.
Yep. And then underrated guy, Minnesota corner Ethan Robinson, who I thought was, I didn't see any of him, but I heard about him.
I did not watch him, but I am aware that he's a player who exists. When I saw the Minnesota Tech, I decided, I'm going to spend my time doing something better than watching Minnesota play football.
All right, and then
Tanner Morgan was like the ultimate my guy a few years back, and he proceeded to not make an NFL roster. I thought he was so good with timing within structure. I still think he can do it.
And then the Jets, they brought in QB1 Brady Cook.
Braden Cook, baby.
Braden
All-world athlete.
He's in my... Whoa, international... They brought in Jordan Mailata in UDFA. They brought in the international player pathway offensive tackle Leander Wiegand.
All right.
Jordan Mailata.
Let's look this guy up. Leander.
This is also the Donovan Edwards spot. He went there.
Wiegand.
New York. Wiegand.
Oh, all right. Wow. This guy looks like he's future Jordan Mailata.
Let me see. Let's see. I'm looking him up. Oh my God. Yeah. Wow. From Germany.
Like he is the prototypical German offensive lineman.
He'll be 26 on the first day. He played for the Aachen Vampires in 2018, the Cologne Centurions, the Rhein Fire. What?
The Rain Fire?
The
the Rhine Fire.
Yeah, the Rhine
Okay.
Fire. That would have been sick.
The Rain Fire is a badass
That's
name.
sick. Munich Ravens, and now he's on the Jets. So
Good for him.
Yeah, good for. I'd love to see the international player pathway guys getting some 38 bench press. Damn.
Solid.
All right.
He
5.
was using 325, by the way.
Okay.
There is an issue with converting metric to imperial,
Of course.
so he was benching extra.
Yeah,
pounds.
5 more than anyone at the NFL scouting combine, by the way. Just casually. So international player pathway, shout out. And then finally for the Patriots to round things out, they had a nice class. Well, they brought in a lot of guys. They brought in Alabama tight end C.J. Dupree.
Awful at football.
Yeah, but,
That's a little harsh.
right.
Yeah, get him. Other people like him.
Yeah.
We may have misevaluated
This
him.
is possible. But he's not very good at football. They brought in a lot of guys. None of them are jumping off the screen to me, though. G. Scott out of Ohio State exists.
Kind of a fun H-back type of player. Gives
Yeah.
him a skill set they don't have. He might make the roster in that role.
It's possible. It's possible. All right. I think that's it.
That's our first draft grades episode.
Very nice.
Out of the way.
It's good.
I had a great time.
It's very good.
So you want to run back your grades for each team?
Yeah, let's do that. All right. For the Commanders, I had a C+. For the Cowboys, I had a B+. For the for the Eagles, I had a B. For the Giants, I had a B+. For the Bills, I had a B. For the Dolphins, I had a B. For the Jets, I had a C. And for the Patriots, I had an A-, my highest that we discussed today.
For the Commanders, I had a B-. Eagles, I had a B. Cowboys, I had a B+. Giants, I had a B-. Bills, I had a B-. Dolphins, I had a B. Jets, I had a D+. And for the Patriots, do I want to rethink this? I have them with a B. Because the Will Campbell pick is very fine. Nothing more,
Yeah.
nothing less. The Travion Henderson pick, I think, was a poor overall use of resources. The Kyle Williams pick I liked, but they took him barely into the third round, and I thought he was like a late third sort of player. I get the role that he's going to play. He's going to be very functional within their offense. And then Jared Wilson, I think that's where he should go. I don't think it was a steal. I thought it was early on Woodson. I like the Farmer pick. I like the Swinson pick, and then they took specialist down the board. Yeah, I think I'm gonna roll with a B there. It's a very solid draft.
My thing is, if you remove the picks and just look at who they brought in, they got a whole lot better. And that's enough for me. They got one of...
But they did have a bunch of picks.
Yeah, they did, but they weren't... None of them were egregious reaches. None of them were bad at all. Only one pick came in below a B that I graded out, which was Craig Woodson, which was a C+. And there were really no misses here. All of them were good picks. I think they got a whole lot better, so they earned an A-. Plus, they just picked a lot of players that I liked and I thought were fun. So I wanted to give that credit.
It was a lot of bell ringing. I
Yeah.
feel like that's an A-, well deserved.
Yeah.
Are we ready to get out of here?
Yes, we are. Next episode will be AFC and NFC West grades, so stick around for my thoughts on the Broncos draft class.
I am so excited.
It's going to be very fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, the draft is over, but one thing remains constant. As always, stay hard.